ni kuharibu tauni yetu. Jambo la pili, mimi ningependa kuomba viongozi wa upinzani, tafadhali wapatie rais nafasi afanye kazi yake. Yeye ameingia juzi katika ofisi, apewe nafasi afanye kazi yake kama rais wa Jamhuri ya Kenya. Mambo ya kumtisha kwamba mnataka kuleta maandamano ndio mpate handshake. Watu wa Kakamega wamesema
Mr. G, kuna watu wengine nikisikia nasikia kutapika kwa sababu
Thank you.
barabara inachomwa vipi? Yaani hata ukiwa mjinga, si unakuwa tu mjinga kiasi. Lazima ukuwe mjinga kabisa. Mr. G,
Malala amekuwa mjinga kupita kiasi. Thank you, Mr. Bernard. Phoenix, I just like your school of thought. You know, some people huwa hawapendi ukweli, but nikikusikiza nasikiza ukweli mtupu kitu ambao unaongea. So don't mind with some comments ambao unaona hapo watu wanaongea hizo comments. Usisikize hizo comments sana. I like your school of thought. Nakuwa napenda sana mtu ambaye anaongea ukweli. Naona kuna kitu inawasha Domi. Before I speak, Domi, ni nini inakuwasha kwanza? Maybe kuna kitu nataka kuuliza Phoenix.
Okay, I think nataka tu kuongeza kwa I wanted to kuongeza tu kwa ile moderator amesema about yeah, it's true that Uhuru hivyo ndiye aliwaambia before, and I think it's not just Uhuru, because that's a statement that has been said now several other leaders from the mountain.
Okay.
About
one moment. That's an exchange in Kisumu, and they have lost the audio. That engagement of the youth and the police in that is Awali Kisumu. Okay, it was earlier in the day. Okay, thank you. We can proceed.
Okay. Even you had been told before. We have lost him. Before I forgot my question. But I think to comment on Malala, your story Malala, I think there is a very big contradiction hapa. Walisema hakuna maandamano. That is a statement. Now, how do you allow maandamano ya Malala and na upinge maandamano hii ingine? What is it? Okay, well, what is it? What is it that makes the difference? Because according to Nani walisema hakuna maandamano. What makes the difference?
Maandamano halali ni ile imeruhusiwa na Ruto. Ile haijaruhusiwa na Ruto sio halali. Inamaanisha Ruto anataka kuwa katiba. Yeye kila anachoruhusu ndio halali. Kila asichoruhusu, hata kama katiba imeruhusu, tupilia mbali. Yeye anataka akili yake itawale, sio katiba na sio sheria ya Kenya. Hapo ndio shida ipo. I think we go back to Mr. G, and then of course I also want us to restrain ourselves from drifting back into our whatever political history that is not bearing fruit. Okay? Kwa sababu hiyo chapter ya Uhuru Kenyatta na Mount Kenya, it was closed. According to the genuine results that was given by the whistleblower, the mountain followed Uhuru Kenyatta and voted for Raila Odinga. with over 2.6 million votes. Going back to redig that up and begin to look for another excuse why this did not work, in my opinion, it's falling back into the trap of the lies of William Ruto, Chebukati, and team. If we want to stand for the truth, let's stand for the truth. Secondly, I don't appreciate when somebody said he was told. The moment you become an adult, it's no longer what your mother told you. It's no longer what your father told you. What did you decide after you are told? And what made you decide what you decided? Because I'm a pastor. And when I advise you, I don't decide for you. I only give you counsel. It is upon you to do with my counsel what you choose to do. So the excuse of Uhuru told us, Uhuru did not tell us. Mimi mtanisamehe tu mapema na asubuhi. I don't take it. And that's why voting is for over 18, not for everybody who is being decided for by their mother and their father. I rest my case.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Bernard. Add 5 Phoenix, I think, is on the background. I had a question for him.
Mr. J.
You know, yeah.
Sorry to interrupt you. Maybe I can respond to Bernard because he asked me that question and then he was interrupted by the live updates that were coming in. Bernard, you see, now you're asking me to explain to you the Kikuyu culture and the Kikuyu history. And I'll be very brief in less than a minute. In Kikuyu, I'm sure you've all heard of something called Muthamaki. So this Muthamaki, what does it mean? And why is it so contentious? That to the extent that even Uhuru will get angry with you if you call him Muthamaki. So Muthamaki was basically a king who used to rule the Kikuyus in the ancient times. So the Kikuyu had a monarchy kind of system. The king ruled all, collected the taxes, made the laws, everything, just like we have the British monarchy. Then unfortunately, after some generations, one of the kings, I think, had some mental illness or some challenges, and he was basically a mad king, like those mad kings of Europe that you used to hear about. And so now you see, now the problem with a mad king is that he has absolute authority over the tribe. You cannot go against the king. So long story short, that generation refused Uzamaki, kingship and monarchy. Uzamaki is monarchy in Kikuyu. So, and that generation was called Iregi. Iregi means refusal, rejection. Okay? So since then, Kikuyu have rejected domination by any one person. So it is only until Uhuru Kenyatta came that the term Muthamaki came about. And the reason why Uhuru Kenyatta is a Muthamaki to some of us, especially those of us in the Rift Valley, I can tell you, Bernard, with my own eyes, I went to a meeting and I saw Uhuru Kenyatta negotiating and fighting and mobilizing for people to come and save the Kikuyus who are being slaughtered like dogs by the Kalenjin here in the Rift Valley. Uhuru risked his life because the Kalenjin threatened that they will kill him because he was the one who was financing the response to those attacks to Kikuyus. He was threatened, his family was threatened. And remember, in 2007, 2008, Uhuru was not in government. He was doing this in his own personal capacity. Even Mwai Kibaki, and he had the police, was unable to tame the country. If it was not for Uhuru, and the most important thing that Uhuru ever did, and there are videos of him doing this, he went around the entire Mount Kenya region switching off fires. He was talking to youths, telling them, do not revenge, do not revenge, do not revenge, do not revenge, do not revenge. Leave this matter to me. We do not want it to go out of control. Yeah? So long story short, Uhuru has become a Muthamaki to some of us. In fact, to all Kikuyus, he became a Muthamaki. Now, a Muthamaki is a king. When a king gives you a command, that is a direct instruction from God. Do you understand me, Bernard?
Well, Phoenix, I get where you're coming from.
Thank you.
But
Wacha niachie hapo ndio wengine waongee.
I'm losing you in the sense that if Mutamaki commands you and you should do the way he has commanded you, then on the other hand, you tell us Mutamaki told you Raila is bad and you did not feel good about it. I mean, Raila is good and you do not feel good about it. So hii Mutamaki yenu ni ya aina gani? Ni ya
Sasa
nyinyi mnachagua kile mfalme amesema ama
You see, this is the thing.
yes,
When Uhuru told us Raila
yes,
is bad, we trusted him with our hearts
yes.
and our minds 100%. Do you understand me? Why? Because he was the Modhamaki. I did not even want to research about Raila. Personally, I knew that Raila ni mchawi. Mimi sisi tulikuwa tunajua hata ukiguza Raila unaweza rogwa. Okay? Unaweza kufa uanguke akisema. Akitamka.
Okay.
Do you understand?
Naomba hivi. I think we are drifting from the subject of the day and we are beginning to confuse our viewers. Let's do this.
Okay.
We'll look into that later. But what I want us to balance is our country is where it is right now, partly because of our failure to judge matters individually. And that is
They
take
agree with you
responsibility.
100%. I agree with you 100%.
What we said about the 2010 constitution. Sema kama baba amesoma akasema ni nzawa, iko sawa. 2005 baba alisoma akasema ni mbaya, sisi tukasema ni mbaya. But I think we have come of age. We can judge matters individually, take full responsibility, and that is one of the things that I would say 2022 elections has brought to our table as Kenyans. We played around by the decision. We allowed the boys to play games. We fell into the trap of the boys. Look at the way the boys are messing up the country, and we are watching helplessly. Elders don't do that. Elders don't sit in the house when the animal is giving birth outside. It was an error for the elders to fold their hands and see the country being handed over to novice. We are suffering from William Ruto because he's a novice, and he's surrounded by novices who have no idea on what it means to navigate the country. And of course, the complexity of the country called Kenya is such that if you don't have good brains, you don't have good heart and good intention towards every Kenyan, you will not be able to govern it. And so I would want us to focus on the Mandamano, lest we drift so much into history until we lose our audience and then, of course, the purpose for our gathering today. So naomba tafadhali, let's restrain ourselves. On the other hand, let's also avoid sharing sensitive information. Nimepewa warning tu sahi. Sensitive information. There is how you speak and you lead the enemy to where it ought not to know. So let's be careful with the information we give, because we have detectives here, we have DCI here, we have everybody here, NIS, everyone. And then, of course, Zakayo's special branch. He's trying to revive a special branch. They are also here. So let's be careful so that we don't lose the cause in the course of helping Kenyans make sense of where we are. Naomba hivi, twende kwa Mr. G moja kwa moja tafadhali. Na let's be brief kwa sababu tunafuata live feed. Tunafuata live feed. So don't talk forever because we will interrupt you. So make your points concise, precise, so that you make sense within the shortest time possible.
Thank you, Mr. Bernard. You know, for me, I agree with the school of thought on Phoenix. Na sijaona akienda makosa mahali popote. Phoenix, you are okay. Because I love it because you are talking and una express yourself. You are speaking what is in your mind. You are not painting pictures. When watu wanapenda kuja hapa, they like to paint pictures, kuongea vitu. You are talking exactly what was happening, and I like that way. Okay, my question was to you, Phoenix, about that issue. You said that this is the right time ambao baba akitaka anaweza chukua uongozi. Okay, on my side, I don't encourage people to give solution to this regime ambayo imefail. I don't like giving solution, and I don't always like even our Azimio leaders to give them solutions. Although wamekuja kwa media wakisema tunafaa tuwapatie solution, tunafaa tuwaambie, tunafaa tufanye nini ndio cost of living kuja down, and they are using some strategy ili waweze kupata what we can offer to deliver this nation. I disagree with that, but now on this side ambao ulisema kwa you believe when Baba wants to get his victory right now ataweza ipata. So I wanted you to share with us what have you seen ambao unaona tukifanya Baba will take the victory, kwa sababu sisi yetu tunataka Baba achukue uongozi wake ambao aliibiwa. What is it ambao umeona sahi ambao Baba akifanya atachukua, kwa sababu ni kitu ambao umeongelea?
Okay. Now coming to the matter at hand, and because we have been guided by the chair that we stick to this topic of maandamano. So maandamano is where we are today. Maandamano is where we are tomorrow. And maandamano is where we are on Friday. There's only two people in this country who right now can call off this maandamano. The first one, of course, is Baba. That one is obvious. I don't have to get into that. And the second one is, of course, William Samoei Arap Ruto, the President of the Republic of Kenya. So I know you might ask me, how can William Ruto stop this? By simply, as I said, going back, retreating, going back to the drawing board. Okay? Yes, I know it is not easy politically. You are a sitting president and you have to climb down, literally, because of pressure from the opposition. It makes you look weak. It makes you look wrong. It will hurt you politically, definitely. But what I would advise our beloved president, please swallow this bitter pill right now. Concede defeat. And nobody will come out to the streets tomorrow. Am I right, wrong? Let me just ask that question. Can William Ruto, by acceding to the demands that have been placed by Baba, just by doing that, temperatures finished? All these things I'm telling you, there could be violence, forget about it. Inaweza kuisha, hiyo moto iishe mara moja. Sijui kama Mr. G nimekujibu. Mr. G, am I still audible? So Baba, if Ruto does not go back, if he does not swallow the bitter pill, that embarrassment of being defeated by Raila, he could give Raila this country on a silver platter. Ninawambia kwa ground, hapa Nakuru, mimi, I will never bring for you my own personal opinions unless you ask me. Mimi nawambia watu wa bodaboda ninaongea nao sana. I can show you posters. I have posters from the last election. I have people in the market who are doing for me campaign. It was difficult. I am telling you, I was almost stoned two times because wanaona tu Jubilee hapo ninaitwa dynasty. Right now, wengine walianza kuniita mhesh tena. Nikamwambia hapana. No, mulichagua serikali ya William Ruto, bas. Sasa tukae na hiyo hali. But my brother, I never imagined that anybody in Kenya has the authority to call for 3 days of protests non-stop. And this person is so feared and so respected by the government that the government even closes schools. Guys, are you seeing if things are okay really in this country? Sitaki kuongea sana. Najua, okay, this is a very diverse forum, I want ninachia mtu mwingine pia nafasi anaongea ndio nisiende too much off the track like before. Okay, so I will stop there.
Yeah, thank you, Forex. You know, I believe democracy demands that we are able also to get inside the reality of people who are of different views na sisi. Kuna watu ambao wanalalamika sana kwa comment section. I don't know mnalalamika nini, because this is a democracy. We are democrat. Na obvious lazima tupate views ya kila mtu, and we try to gauge kama tutaweza kukubaliana nayo ama tuweze kubaliana nayo. In democracy tunajua always inapigania mwananchi wa chini, inapigania minority. This government has always stepped into a feet. Angalia kama Jubilee. Baba aliwaambia hao watu waachane na chama ya Jubilee. Wameingilia ndani, wametukanyaga mpaka wametukanyaga, wametuvuruga kweli kweli. Yet tulikuwa tumwambia mkiendelea kukanyaga Jubilee mtafanya tuingie kwa street. Sasa hii tumeingia kwa street, there are the people ambao wanalalamika. Wanatuambia twende tena tuongee. That is the things ambao wanaanza kuongea sasa hii. Wanatuita ati tukuje tuketi chini tuanze kuongea. Tutaongea nao nini? There's nothing we can talk now. Now watu, and that's why jana Wamalwa alisema tu vizuri kabisa, sisi sasa hii hatuna hiyo time. Tutakuja baadaye. Wakati tunajisikia tunakuja kuongea, tutakuja kuongea, but for right now wacha tufanye mambo yetu vile tunafanya. Sasa hii maandamano kwa kila mahali. Mombasa watu wanasema kumetulia sana. Mombasa kumekuwa pia na maandamano, imeshaanza tayari. Sasa hata mnasikia mapolisi wanakimbizana na watu huko. Hiyo ni gari ambayo inapita. Maandamano iko kila mahali. Why? Watu wamechoka. The government ilidanganya watu. The government iliambia watu nini? Iliambia watu kwa inakuja kuwasaidia. Kumbe ilikuwa ni uongo. This guy hajajua anything ambao mwananchi wa China anapitia. Ile uchungu ambao mwananchi wa China anapitia. The government ni kama haijui. That's why unapata mtu kama Malala anasimama, anaanza kuchukua watu. Anakuonesha watu anasema wanaandamana kwa sababu wapinge hii maandamano. Maandamano iko kwa constitution. Wow. Kesho yote amekuja amesimama anasema anatupinga kwa sababu hataki tuongee. Yaani hataki to share our views. How can we stop talking wakati everything is going in a mess? Hakuna hata siku moja ambayo tutaweza kunyamaza tuangalie constitution yetu iko inaharibiwa na hao jambazi. Sasa tumeambiwa tutoke. Okay. Sometimes
Sorry, I don't know if the problem is on my side. Mr. Jisi kusikia vizuri?
Okay. Sasa unanisikia?
Mr. Jia amegwama.
Unanisikia vizuri sasa?
Yes, now it is better. Continue.
Yeah. Maandamano ilianza jana usiku. Odo tuliambiwa kwa inafaa ianze leo, but yesterday usiku watu walikuwa shaanza tayari. Ukienda kama Kisii paka nini zimefungwa kabisa, barabara zimefungwa kabisa na nini wameweka zile ma blocks na wamepigilia kabisa mpaka gari hata iwezi vuka. Leo usiku tumeona Kondele, wamama, wasichana na watoto wametoka nje. Wanaimba, wanaandamana. Barabara pale katikati ya Kisumu ukija Eldoret kumefungwa na mawe kwa sababu watu wamechoka na this government. Alafu Malala anasimama anakuja anatuambia kuwa what we are doing is wrong. Sasa anaitisha timu ikuje itupinge. These are the things ambazo alikuwa anafanya jana. That's why alikuwa na zile pictures ambazo zilikuwa zinatumwa kwa media. Watu wameshika mapanga, usijua wanaongea nini, wanaongea ile lugha ambayo kila mtu walikuwa wanaongea lugha mamao, ile ambayo huwezi sikia. You see, na kuna vitu ambavyo wanapanga. The government has planned kuleta chaos. But for us hatuna any chaos. For us tunaandamana tu kikawaida. This time round, kama kuna watu ambao wanatusikiza, hii hatuachili. Na wanafaa wajue kuwa for us hatuna shida. Kukiwa kuna njaa, kukiwa hakuna njaa, sisi hata hiyo haitusumbui. Sisi kitu ambacho tunataka ni good leadership. Na good leadership ni baba awe safe. Ikiwa baba atakuwa sawa, sisi tuko sawa. Lakini ikiwa baba anasumbuliwa, hakuna peace. Okay, kuna kitu ambacho Domi alikuwa anaongea alafu kawa na issue kidogo. Domi sijui nini hiyo kwenda kusema.
It was a question to Phoenix, but I think according to the guidance yenye tumepewa na our senior host, I think we will spare that topic for another day.
Okay, Domi. There's also so much more I would like to talk about, but unfortunately, every time I respond to those things, the conversation digresses and tangents to so many things, and I think people want to focus on what brought them here. So maybe we can have another discussion, Kando. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, everyone. Let's, you know, it's at times it's very complex to hold a conversation like we are in a public place, but we need to guide that conversation in such a way that it does not generate into something that we did not anticipate. So our ability to navigate right at the middle of the road and avoiding the extremes is what makes the conversation profitable. That means we may have enormous information, but now we select what is relevant where, then we share it because we want people to get this understanding, which will help them make a particular decision that will cause them to be part and parcel of what will help out. Just like we say in the church, as much as you are a preacher, you've been not sent to preach the whole Bible in one sermon. So you pick one direction and teach that, then thereafter you will teach another one later. But the complexity of our country is just that. The people want to use the constitution when it favors them and to stop the constitution when it looks not favorable to them. That has been our ailment from time immemorial. What Malala is saying is the same thing. The constitution is good if it is serving UDA. The constitution is bad if it's serving Azimio. Because Azimio is bad and Azimio doesn't want Ruto to do what Ruto is supposed to do. Then, of course, one of the things that sicken me is the claim that Ruto has just gotten into office. He should be given time. Ruto has been deputy president for 10 years. He's been a cabinet minister from 1992 to date. What is he learning about government that he did not learn all this time? You people, I think we shouldn't play these games anymore. Let's hold people to account. Any person holding brief for William Ruto to get more time, he's refusing to see what it really, what is the problem here. I can't be a cabinet secretary or a minister in all successive governments. I think it's only in which government he was not a minister. The first term of Kibaki. The second term was inside. Okay. So almost latter days in the year, or rather constitutional days of Moi in office, 92, 97, he was all in cabinet. He was in the kitchen cabinet. That's where he was slapping the other old man in State House. Now, if you've been in government for that long, and then you take over the leadership of government, is there anything you need to learn? I don't think so. So William Ruto is failing to run this country because he's incompetent. Ana uwezo, si eti hajui cha kufanya. Hawezi kuongoza nchi. Kwa nini? He lacks capacity, not time. He has had all the time. He has had all the experience. He has seen how other presidents have worked. If he fails, it's by choice. And then one thing that is coming out very clear is that he can only work in a police state. The 2010 constitution is his number one problem. So he would rather put aside the 2010 constitution and return the old constitution that had a police state where Moi reigned for 24 years. That is what he's working on. Will Kenyans let that happen? If they try it, then they should forget Kenya. Because Kenya is only Kenya with every other Kenyan. When Kenya becomes a property of William Ruto, and William Ruto decides for us when to breathe in and when to breathe out, that is a Kenya I don't want to be party to. And so let's remain focused. Maandamano yanaendelea sehemu zote. Let me see, there is, there was a feed from Mathare. There is engagement between the police and the protesters in Mathare. and other part, I have a video of one person who was shot in Migori. Amekuwa shot kwa mguu, tena amepigwa risasi akiwa nyumbani kwake. Polisi wameingia, wamevamia huko, wakampiga risasi. So he was not even among the protesters, according to the information there. Amepigwa risasi kwa mguu. Sijui kama anaweza cheza hiyo ama italeta kizaazaa. Bloody videos zinakuanga na shida. But it's not badly off. Let me see kama mbaya ni mbaya.
Ya mkazi wa Uruba, na alikuwa tu katika maeneo yake ya makazi yake, ghafla mapolisi wakavamia maeneo hayo na kuanza kurusha risasi. Sasa tizama, risasi hii imepigwa eneo hili, imepigwa upande huu na kutokea upande huu. Haya ndio madhara ambayo mapolisi wanatuletea, na wakati katiba inaruhusu wananchi kuandamana katika article 37. Haya maeneo ya Uruba ndipo nini katokea?
Nikasikia tutaanguka chini.
Sasa huyu ni kijana wa maeneo ya Uruba, amepata kudhuriwa na risasi zinazorushwa holela na baadhi ya mapolisi, na hivi sasa anatibiwa katika hospitali ya Kogenya, hospitali inayofahamika kama Kogenya, eneo la Uruba. Swali dogo tu la kujiuliza, wanalinda raia na mali zao ama wanadhuru raia kwa mali zao?
Okay, there you go. The current state of affairs. Back to Domi.
Okay, I think Hello, mnanisikia?
Haya, umerejea. Endelea.
Nashambuliwa kweli, nashambuliwa.
Yeah,
Okay,
you need to clear your browser when you are done. You clear your browser when you are done. Futa historia mpaka jana.
Oh, okay. Now you see, I think vitu zingine me, according to me, I see like sometimes God like bring these guys to some confusion in a way. You know, a good number. In fact, let me say, most of these people that are being shot, they are being shot not because they are in the demonstration. Most of them are being shot away. Those people are not in the demonstration. Somebody is shot, some young man from wherever, some university student who was supposed to be preparing to go to college is being killed when he's just leaving home to go and prepare for whatever. It's not in the demonstration. It only just tells you that what you are doing is wrong. If you keep on getting things, errors in everything that you are doing, then it should just be clear to you that what you are doing is wrong. Now you see, and you know what I'll say, Mr. Coordinator, Mr. Host. I think to me, pahali sitakubaliana na wewe is that Ruto is not incompetent. Ruto is selfish. You know, it's not, you know, somebody who is incompetent, he's trying his best. You will see the trying, that he's trying his best. He's not getting it, but he's trying his best. Ruto is not trying his best. He's sabotaging himself. He's doing, you know, because I can see what he's doing is just really, you know, you know very well that you need money to run the government. You know, the wage bill of the government, the wage bill of the government is so heavy. Then you come to add more illegal posts in the name of CAS. Kwani hauoni kwa, excuse me, that is not incompetence. It's just this somebody who is selfish. You want to please those people who supported you, so that what happens? So that they see you as a good person. And what about the ordinary citizen who is suffering? You don't care about it. Okay, bring it fast.
Tishwa na aliporejea hususan baada ya yale maandamano yaliyofanyika wakati wa Sabasaba, tumeona yakichukua mkondo tofauti kabisa. Lakini sasa hivi vinywa vya viongozi wa Azimio vinafunguka na kuzungumzia swala moja ambalo ni gharama ya maisha, na ndio inaweza kuwa ndio swala ambalo limewaleta watu wengi kujitokeza, na pia kwa upande wao ni swala la kimikakati ya kisiasa au ni swala gani ambalo limewasukuma kufanya hivyo?
Ni ule uwezo wa kupambanua nyakati. Wakati huu swala ambalo lina uzito wa kiasi cha haja ni swala la gharama ya maisha. Na ukizungumzia swala la gharama ya maisha, jinsi nilivyosema hapo awali, ni swala ambalo linamguza Mkenya yoyote yule, awe anaunga serikali mkono, awe anaunga Azimio mkono. Ni swala ambalo Azimio imedadisi na kuona kwamba tukisonga na swala hili litatupatia umaarufu wa kiasi cha haja, na Wakenya wengi wataweza kuunga mkono, kwa sababu ni nia ya Wakenya wengi gharama ya maisha iweze kushughulikiwa na serikali ambayo ni tawala, na ila wakati ambapo Azimio sasa wanazingatia swala la gharama ya maisha, wanataka serikali ikuje katika meza ya mazungumzo, waweze kuzungumza na kupata mwafaka na kusonga mbele kama taifa kuhusiana na haya mambo ya gharama ya maisha. Na jinsi mwenzangu alivyosema, katika fursa hiyo watatumia kuweza kupata zile alama zao ambazo wanataka, kama vile mambo ya SAVA, mambo ya electoral reforms, kwa sababu hauwezi anza kuzungumzia mambo ya electoral reforms wakati ambapo taifa lina njaa. Yule Mkenya ambaye ana njaa hata weka muda wake kwenda kupiga kura. Lakini ukiweza kutatua masuala ya kiuchumi, uwezeshe Wakenya wengi, vijana kwa wamama, utapata kwamba kuna ile hali ya demokrasia inaimarika kivyake, unaona? So wakati ambapo taifa lina njaa, hata kusukuma gurudumu la demokrasia inakuwa ni vigumu, kwa sababu watu wanafikiria jinsi ambavyo watakavyokimu kimaisha, watakavyotafuta chakula kwa watoto wao na familia zao. Wakati ambapo taifa linakumbana na janga la njaa, janga la umaskini, unapata kupiga hatua inakuwa vigumu, kwa sababu watu ukiwaita katika matukio kama haya wanajitokeza kwa wingi, kwa sababu hawana pa kwenda, hakuna ajira, hakuna kile ambacho kitaweka kwa nyumba kama chakula. So unapata mtu anasema ni heri mimi nitoke niende kule nje, huenda nikapata anything ama nikakumbana na wenzangu na tukasahau yale machungu ambayo yanatufinya katika maybe.
Yeah.
Okay, those are pictures from around. Let's please let's keep our comments brief and precise. Domi
Okay.
Maliza, Mr. G ameinua mkono.
Okay, just a minute nimalizie. So I was saying this is just akili yake. To me what I'm seeing is he's interested in to make himself comfortable, to move as many places as he wants at the expense, because now you see, if he's not president, he will have to spend on his pocket. But now because he's president, he will spend on his public money to go to America, to go to wherever, so many 101 trips as he wants. So that's somebody who he's not interested in making anything for Kenyans. His interest is to move as many places as he wants and to accumulate as much as he wants. That is why he's taxing you as much as he wants, so that by the time he leaves, his pocket is full. Yeah, that's my opinion.
Okay, Mr. G.
Yes, this is to Domi. You know, Domi, I think incompetence is the best word that you can use at this time, kwa sababu this guy ni mtu ambaye anajaribu kupata a point where anaweza blame somebody. Kama juzi umesikia kina Murkomen wanasema kuwa walikuwa wanataka kuongea na kina Raila, I think in issue ya coalition government, but on this thing ya coalition government I think they are just hypocritic. Ni watu hawako kuna ukweli, wanataka kuongea mambo ya coalition, ndio sasa baba akikubaliana nao watakuja tena waanze kusema kuwa kitu ambacho wanataka ni hii coalition government peke yake. Ni watu ambao wako incompetent na hawajai simama na ukweli kabisa. Baba knew their game na akasema ataki mambo ya coalition government, he doesn't want any talks with these people, and that is what we are standing for. For me, I believe kama yesterday I was asking Alex, that's why I was requesting Alex kama anaweza kuja. I was asking Alex this issue about the UN because we saw UN waki issue some comment on the letter kuhusiana na mambo vile polisi wanapiga watu, the brutality ambayo inafanywa na polisi. I saw another guy here asking about the issue na ICC. So Bernard, maybe if you can educate us, what is this thing ambayo UN wanaweza fanya ambayo inaweza fanya this government cool down ama ICC, kwa sababu yesterday I think there's something that Alex was trying to explain na nikawa distracted by phone, sikumpata vizuri na ikawa tunamaliza kama sijapata that point, but I just wanted to know because I saw UN waki-issue a letter warning this government about the brutality. Alafu pena kuna hizi issue ya ICC ambao niliona pia Martha Karua akiongelea jana kuhusu mambo ya ICC. Is there anything about these guys can do ambao inaweza fanya tukapata our justice ama tu, because yesterday Alex was talking about the court being a political court, but nikawa distracted na simu na sikumuelewa vizuri. What is this ambao UN wanaweza fanya ambayo inaweza leta some justice in our Kenya, ama ni kitu cha kuleta tu kupiga mdomo na kuna kitu inatusaidia? Ukijibu hiyo, there's another thing about nitakuelezea baadaye on this issue of brutality na polisi.
Okay, so just a moment, let me see what is this about.
Wamesimama tu kwa kando wakiwa wanaonekana wakiendeleza hamsini zao. Hivyo hatukuona makabiliano yoyote pale kwa wakati huo, lakini sasa hivi picha hizo zinaonyesha mbunge wa Nakuru Town West ambaye yuko pale na nafikiri amezungukwa na vijana na vile vile pia maafisa wa usalama wakiwa kwenye upande mwingine. Tutakuwa tunajaribu kupata vile vile kwa muktasari ni yapi ambayo yanajiri kwenye kaunti hiyo ya Nakuru na ni sababu zipi zinazopelekea mbunge huyo kuweza kuwa pale na labda vile vile kuwepo na makabiliano aidha ya majibizano au kivinginevyo na wale maafisa wa usalama au hata wale vijana ambao pale kuweza kuwa wamejitokeza kuandamana au hata kupinga maandamano, kwa sababu hatukuwa.
Okay, those are pictures from Nakuru, but I would just before I respond to you, Mr. G, there is a tweet by Philip Etale, 10:44, that is in the morning. He says, unknown people in plain clothes suspected to be police officers from the DCI have abducted Raila Odinga's bodyguard, Maurice Ogeta, while he was driving to work, bundled him in the car boot and driven away with him to a unknown destination. His whereabouts remains unknown. I just needed to let that out. That is Philip Etale. Philip Etale is a communication person at Raila Odinga's office. He says, unknown people in plain clothes suspected to be police officers from the DCI have abducted Raila Odinga's bodyguard, Maurice Ogeta, while he was driving to work, bundled him in a car boot and drove away with him to an unknown destination. His whereabouts remains unknown. So we are dealing with people that are going to any limit to do whatever they want to do in terms of intimidating everyone that stands against them. Now, UN is to Mr. G. We dropped out with Mr. G. UN is it's an international body that is concerned with the governance of the whole world. And of course, you know that the headquarters of UN is in Kenya. And so what happens to Kenya will affect them directly or indirectly in a big way. Somebody was saying on the comment section that one of the reasons why William Ruto cannot switch off the internet the way Museveni does is because the UN is here and it has to use the internet. So you can't switch it off just like that. you will have to obtain permission, or rather inconvenience the whole world in the process of switching off the internet here. And so the UN, it has a Department for Human Rights, and they wrote a letter in the pretext of ensuring that Zakayo and team are warned about the use of live bullets against protesters, because according to them, they understand the Kenyan Constitution, that the Kenyan Constitution has a role the police should play in the protest, and it is not to shoot at the protesters. And then he says, according to the UN rules of protesting, he says live, wherever, guns are not supposed to be used anywhere to disperse the crowds. So the police should use a different different method to disperse the crowd, not to shoot at them wherever. Use the gun to disperse them. And so the concern of the world with Kenya is in that, of course, in that respect, where they are talking of human rights and then, of course, safeguarding their interest. About ICC is the same thing. When you violate human rights, like those killings, you are subject to be tried. Okay, and so what Mother Karua was talking about is that the ICC case for William Ruto was just paused. It was not called off. That means it can be revived. Secondly, he was warning the police officers that if they take orders that are not constitutional and they harm lives, they should be prepared to answer before the court of law in their own capacity as individuals. And then, of course, their commanders also will need to own up their cases for violating human rights in visiting their wrath on Kenyans who are innocently protesting. And so it is just within the normal framework of legal processes. Can the UN intervene in terms of snatching the presidency from Ruto and giving it to Raila Odinga? Not exactly, because they of course they will want to keep off internal affairs of the country. That's the place where they hide always. But what can happen is, if the crisis in the country is degenerates to a level whereby it cannot be contained, and then because we have mistrust among ourselves, right now we don't have the IEBC. And so what would happen is, if the crisis is too much, I understand the Constitution provides that the army can take for 90 days, and within those 90 days there can be an impromptu arranged of a repeat election, whereby we can go to the ballot and decide who becomes president, and then the army can hand over to the civilian administration. That is, in my opinion, a gamble. Okay, a gamble, because we have had such experiences in Sudan here, experiences in Nigeria, where the army took over for 90 days and it became several years. And so That's also a gamble in itself, and then it may not always be the fix, but we should only get there if we have no any other option. The easiest thing, like Phonics says, the best way to deal with this thing is one, William Ruto to allow the server to be opened. When the server gets opened and the results are coming out and everybody's satisfied, history inaisha. Secondly, if he knows he lost the elections and he got into the office fraudulently, let him own up and accept and then submit himself. Raila is not a vengeful person. He will settle him and the country will move on. Can William Ruto do that? He's not in his nature. His character and his mindset is not that of humbling himself. He's a fighter and he will fight for what is right and what is wrong at the same time. And so I don't see that option working. He will only do that when he has no option, but I don't think you see the kind of excesses he's doing, okay? Who hosts the Iran president in the State House? Have you seen that anywhere? Except you are asking for problems with the Americans, and then he was the darling of the Americans. Now you go and begin to dine with the enemy of America. Are you not inviting problems to yourself? And so, what is he running from America for? Is it the money he has already collected? Or is there anything he's owing America that he's now looking for Iran to help him pay? So the blunders that William Ruto is involving himself in is such that he's either running from something or running to something. He is not settled in even providing leadership. And that's why we are talking about incompetence. Incompetence in the sense that he is in an office and he can't run that office. It's not that the office is not runnable or the office is it's complicated. It's just for him, ana capacity. He's a person who doesn't listen to anybody. He doesn't feel anybody. He doesn't consider anybody. He wants to do what he wants to do, and he thinks running the country is doing that. Because he didn't learn that running the country means taking everybody's interest on the table and ensuring that you strike a balance between these different interests and see to it that their interests to be dropped, but the best interest is the one that takes care of the majority of the interests in the country, including taking a decision against yourself. Now, if that is not how leadership is done, I don't know what leadership again it is. So, Mr. G, that's what I can say, but I think we'll get Alex to break for you down if I missed anything he said. That's all I can say on that. Mr. G, are you still there?
Yeah, I'm around.
Yeah, so the UN, like I said, it cannot come and say we are taking this victory and giving to you. That will be irregular. But they can mediate. Mr. G? Okay, now.
Yeah, sorry, Bernard. I think network inanisumbua kidogo. Let me switch off to another network. Maybe naona kuna shida kidogo na network.
Yeah, rekebisha alafu uje. Domi, unasemaje?
According to what I'm getting from what you're saying is that going the UN direction is not of any much of a solution. I think that's taking a very long route. And that is where I think, to me, that is where now, because according to me, the best way UN could take Kenya is to the way of probably some negotiation of some half-half. Most likely that's the direction they would want us to go. of which no, I don't think there is anybody who is interested in half-half.
Okay, rumor has it that it has already been offered and rejected because it has not solved anything. Because we accepted half-half 2007, 2008. Did it solve our problem? It did not. We decided to let go 2013. They got the whole bread. Nobody disturbed another. 2017, things got bad, but later on there was a handshake. You can run government, will not disturb you, but we are not part of that government. It did not solve the problem. We still had the problem in 2022. So for us to get a permanent solution to this matter once and for all, it's overhaul. And this overhaul will come either by force or by choice, whichever way. But dealing with a person like William Ruto, it will not be easy. It has to be forced on him. Sharing government between you and Ruto, I don't think that will work. It will not even survive for 2 months. Domi, you are mute. Are you talking?
And but I don't know. You're very right. You know, this dealing with the Ruto is is a mess. Okay, I don't know whether this is true. There's some communication I saw somewhere. Some like is it US that refused to talk to Moses Kuri. I don't know whether it's confirmed or I don't know. What was it?
Yes, I have a video to that effect.
The trade representative.
Okay, I have a video to that effect, but even if it were you, Domi, would you want to go and meet Moses Kuria? There are some things we should not just, blame anybody, because what will he say? You can have a communication, then when you are going to report to the press, he begins his mouth diarrhea there. Where will you hide your face? All the same, wacha tufanye hivi. I think we need to take a short break and then come back to proceed. Wale ambao mnaingia studio, tuingie studio, alafu keep sijui mmetorokea wapi. Mato, mrejee sasa. I think I've done my 3 hours. Mniache mimi niende kutafuta Motura.
Keep alisema kwa mkutano.
Na hii mkutano wanakuanga pamoja na nani na Mato, so sijui kama wako pamoja ama wako vingine, but all the same, let's take a short commercial break, then we will be back shortly. Stay tuned.
That if you attempt to root the life of Raila, I tell you that Kenya will be worse than Rwanda. I must warn you that Kenya will be worse than Rwanda. I want to tell Ruto, I have information that you and your deputy, you have intention to finish the life of Raila Odinga. I have that information. And I have it because even Gachagua himself announced it and said that we are going to now deal with Raila finally. We are going to deal with him conclusively. That the demonstrations will be the last of Raila again. When you say that this is going to be the last of him, what do you mean? You mean to say you want to take the life of Raila. But I want to warn you, Ruto, that if you attempt to root the life of Raila, I tell you that Kenya will be worse than Rwanda. I must warn
Sisi vile vile sio wote ambao wanataka ugomvi kwa sababu ya ugomvi.
Niwaambia nyinyi ni wajinga mkimpata Ruto. Mkadhani tunawadanganya.
Jeti ya Ruto. Hii maisha ya Ruto ni stress na ni stress.
Mungu wewe umetukosea.
Sasa tumesema siku ya Jumatano. Uko tayari? Uko tayari? Tumesema sisi si majambazi.
Jumapili ya tarehe 23 Julai mwaka wa 2023 tunakutana kwenye kanisa la Pentecostal Assemblies of God Kenya, Kabete District. Tunakutana, tunazungumza na kujadiliana. Ni mjadala mahususi kuhusu overcoming 21st century youth challenges, jinsi inavyoashiriwa kwenye Timotheo wa pili mlango wa 3:1 hadi 5.
I think that's too heavy. All the same, let's get back. Hey, kila mtu amejificha.
Chairman.
Yes, Mr. G, be brief, huh? So we give priority to those who have just joined.
Chairman, I just wanted to respond. Mr. G.
Okay.
Nakuomba tu dakika moja. I just wanted to add something on top of what Chairman was talking about the UN. Is that okay, Chairman? Ama umefunga kabisa?
It's no problem. I thought Mr. G was making a follow-up on the same. You
okay,
can
let him go first
briefly,
then. Let him go first. Let him go first.
We allow, so that we allow not nice Kenyan Mandamano pia mengia. And then of course,
okay, I will come later. I will come later.
No, just go ahead. Just go ahead.
No, if you...
Okay then. If you're giving me 30, I will take 30 seconds of your time, Mr. G. So
carry on.
Bernard, were you speaking? Are you speaking, Bernard?
No. I'm saying carry on. So
thank you. Good.
Make now, your comment, please.
Yes, this matter of the UN, I think personally, and based on discussions that I've had with some senior people here and there, the chickens are coming home to roost. So you had Baba telling us some time back that President Ruto was supported by Western powers, specifically the US and the UK especially. And it is because they believed that he would be able to turn Kenya away from China. The US and the UK are very concerned about China's influence in Africa, and they do not like it when they see China being very influential in a country that is as crucial as Kenya. Kenya is very, very, very significant geopolitically. So what has happened since? You have had our dear president going around talking about de-dollarization. He is saying that we do not need to use the dollar anymore for trade. So this is a good thing. Personally, I support it as somebody who has no vested interest in the dollar or the American economy. But my brothers and sisters, it is not hard for you to imagine that even America has its cartels. You will remember that the dollar is actually not controlled by the American government. The Federal Reserve is basically a private institution that was formed when senior bankers in America came together during the Great Depression, and they decided to form the Federal Reserve Bank. So there are cartels, in short, behind the dollar's dominance in global trade. There are people who benefit, who eat with every dollar transaction that happens internationally. So these people now do not take it kindly when somebody starts talking about changing the world financial order. Okay? I support it. It will be of great benefit, not just to Kenya, but to the entire world that will come out from under the chains of America. But you do not fight them directly. What happened to Gaddafi after he started talking about removing the dollar. He was killed. After Saddam Hussein started selling petrol in euros instead of dollars, 2 months later, George Bush invaded him and he was killed. Now, I am not praying for any such thing. They will not, I don't think they will ever do any such thing to William Ruto. But when you see the UN is a mouthpiece of America. And if anybody wants to deny this, let them come straight and say this and say why. I am promising you, the UN cannot issue such a high-level declaration, a very direct declaration against a sitting government. That is not the style of the UN. So this tells you that there are forces which are trying to communicate to William Ruto, hey, remember us. We control this world. We are the UN. We are the ICC. Okay? So, people, I am telling you, William Ruto is cooked in so many ways because of his mouth, because of his pride, because of his massive, I have never seen a more massive ego in my life. I know that leaders, politicians have big egos, but this man, you want to fight Raila, you want to fight Uhuru, you want to fight Maina Njenga, that is locally. Internationally, you want to fight America and many other players, because I don't know if you guys watched that video. He was in a meeting with the president of France, Emmanuel Macron, Ajay Singh, the World Bank president, and other very senior IMF and other such kind of bodies, monetary bodies. And William Ruto was there saying how we need to change the current world order, financial world order. I support this, but I will never be stupid enough in my life or in another life to speak these things in public, in front of the French, in front of the Americans. Anyway, wacha niachie hiyo hapo. So all I'm saying is that the UN thing is very dynamic, and there is so many things that are happening behind the scenes. You can be assured. William Ruto, if he does not swallow that pill of humbling himself at this point, I do not think he will last more than the next 3 months on this presidency. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Felix. Just a minute before I allow Kenya Mandamano or Not Nice, Aingilia. I brought in the topic because I'm trying to follow up on the issue of what happened between Russia and Ukraine. And as all of us, we know that Ukraine haina that stamina ya kufight with Russia. But there's something behind the scene. About some people are saying that in the US, ambayo inajaribu kupigana na Ukraine. That's why I was asking if there is something ambayo UN inaweza fanya. But thank you, Forex, and for your answers. There's something about Alex brought up, issue ya bodyguard wa Raila. Does anyone has the information what is happening? Because I'm told nimesikia Alex akiongea akisema kuwa bodyguard ameshikwa. Also I saw just something on the media, but sijapata any full evidence ambayo inaonyesha kuwa the bodyguard of Raila ameshikwa. Sijapata hiyo information, but nimeiona tu ikipita kwa media. So do we have any evidence ambayo inaonyesha kuwa the bodyguard ameshikwa? Back to you, Bernard.
Like I said, the tweet I was reading is a screenshot from Etale. Philip Etale is the communication. Is it the person in charge of communication for Raila Odinga? So he will not be lying about something like that. That's why I even shared it, because it's Philip Etale. He's the spokesman. So that's more credible. Thank you. Not Nice. Come in, please.
Thanks, Ben. I think Kenya Mandamana was here before me. But if she's allowed, she's all right for me to go ahead, then I'll just go ahead. I'm not sure if that's okay with her.
Go ahead, Nice.
Hello, can you hear me?
Anasema endelea.
All right, thank you. So, what I'm listening to today, I mean, I'm not sure in Kenya if we have got two constitutions for different people when it comes to protesting. Because I can see that Malala has got some people on the street. So how does that work? That he finds himself on the street in the name of counteracting a protest, which at the moment is not allowed on the street. How is that possible? These are the kind of stupidity that we got to stop. Because Kenya is not for some people and for some other people. So this nonsense got to stop. The other thing that I wanted to mention is I listened to Phoenix. It was a couple of things that he was saying back. And I think you did ask a question about whether we don't actually use our common sense or what's going on. There's this fallacy that people keeps using that we were told. For God's sake, we are grown-ups. It's time people start using their common sense. If you're struggling to make ends meet, you don't need anybody to tell you that you're struggling to make ends meet to go against that. Kind of nonsense that we have constantly in Kenya. It's like people are constantly getting brainwashed. You cannot keep on going on that we are told that somebody's this, somebody's this. You live in Kenya. You know what the person you're dealing with is. You can see everything that's going on at the moment. If something is not right, you stand up and you say, this is what I stand up for. It's not because somebody say this and somebody say that. Otherwise, we are not going to get anywhere with this. We got to stop this idea that you were told this, so you go by this because this is what you've been told. Use your common sense. Think for yourself. And that's what people need to do. In other things, I've seen quite a lot of police presence on the streets, which in a way it is good because although there may not be a lot of people on the streets, but then the business is not going on as usual. And you're going to have that for 3 days. The following week is going to be the same thing. The following week is going to be the same thing. Surely they're gonna have to start listening to people because it's not going to be that easy. And then everything that's going on with politicians that were called at State House, the MPs that were called at State House, and now you're hearing that people like Raila's bodyguard is missing. I don't know how true that is, but what's the point of that? When their securities have been taken away, now you hear that even as simple as bodyguards are being taken away. I mean, who is advising Ruto? Who is actually advising this guy? Because whoever is advising this guy, he is really not, he hasn't got the right advice for him. Kenya is going to go into a place where it has never been before. And Bernard, we are talking about this because Kenya has never gone to that place. It's easy for it to get there, but it's going to be very, very difficult to stop it. It's going to be very, very difficult once it starts because people are going to rebel. People are going to know they don't have anything to live for. And that's where Kenya is going to end. And that's all I'm going to say for now. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I think they're just trying to do their scaremongering to demonstrate that they have access to Baba, and they can do with him whatever they wish. It's just the usual, like the way they handed live bullets on his armored vehicle, and so arresting his a bodyguard is just the usual way of trying to break his security defense and probably make him succumb to their pressure. In my opinion, that is even aggravating the situation further because Raila is not the problem. William Ruto and team have got it all wrong. Raila is not the problem of William Ruto. William Ruto's problem is Kenyans. And he will have to kill all Kenyans if he wants his problem solved. So him arresting Raila Odinga, killing Raila Odinga, or doing anything will not solve his problem. And so he needs to understand that Kenyans are the ones angry with him. It's not Raila Odinga. And so because he's surrounded by incompetent people, foolish people, quoting Malala himself, okay? The foolish people around him cannot tell him that his problem is the Kenyan people. The Kenyan people want the president's office to function in their interest, not to function in the interest of the so-called president. If he can't get that, then he's too thick to get anything. You don't ignore the real issue. The real issue is like Domi was saying. Your children are in the house, they are crying because of hunger, then you are beating them to keep quiet. I mean, provide food, they will be quiet. But if you knock and say, if I hear anybody cry, I'll beat him, then you keep beating them. Will that solve their problem? And so William Ruto and team are just out of this world. They are so obsessed with Moism that they can't see anything better at this point in time. And so taking the bodyguard of Raila Odinga, maybe they want to squeeze information. And of course, they must be looking for Raila Odinga. But Raila Odinga, like Herman Manyora said, is a spirit. You can't get him anywhere. So they will just see him emerge in the city center from nowhere. So they should leave the bodyguard alone. Even the bodyguard is like Elijah said. It was not Elijah. It was this guy who was sent to tell Ahab that Elijah has come back. And he said, you want me to die? You want me to go and tell Ahab you have come back? By the time I come back, you have gone. You want Ahab to kill me? So they are trying to get the bodyguard so that the bodyguard can lead them to where Raila is. Probably. I've never seen anything like this all my life. And I pity William Ruto. I pity all his people. They are in a mess, and they are making the mess even worse. Thank you. Yes, not nice.
Now, I just want to ask a question, Bernard. You see the people that we see in Kakamega, are they people that actually, do they suffer as well? Do they have this difficulty that other people are having with Malala though? Or is it just that people are so brainwashed to a point where...
Ignore Malala. Those are the 1,000 people. The 1,000 shilling people. That's a crowd. Malala, Alex was here reminding us, Malala was on national television. He said the only politician in this country who has organic following is Raila Odinga. The only politician in this country who is surrounded by smart, clever people, wise people, is Raila Odinga. Okay, he is selling his boss that is surrounded by fools. And then he says every following his boss has is bought followership. So alipewa change kidogo ya chama ya UDA. He has gone to Kakamega, paid some mulgans to follow him on the street. Those were the same people who were following Oparanya last week. So it's not that they don't suffer. They went to get money for buying unga. That's all. They collect the 1,000, they will buy unga. But that William Ruto and UDA have a following in Kakamega, was born and raised in Kakamega. Where? Malala would have become governor then. He ran for governorship of Kakamega. If UDA was selling in Kakamega, why is he not governor? So it's just that way. So Malala, ignore Malala and his team. They have gone there to show their thorax, which they don't have. So they don't have political clout. They don't have political capacity. So they have to pay everybody for everything. Those were paid to follow him, and they were only hired for a few minutes for the cameras. Go right now and check right now if they still have the crowd. Let Wajakoya surface right now at 2 o'clock, okay? When they have finished theirs at 11, and see which crowd will be following Wajakoya and Okanga and Oparanya in the same Kakamega. That is the picture. Yes, Mr. G.
Yeah, thank you Bernard. Exactly. Hao watu ambao kwa field pale ni watu ambao wamelipwa. Mr. Nice. No one can stand up right now aweze kuandamana ati anapinga kuandamana ambao Raila anapigana nayo sahi. Sahi we are protesting because of the cost of living is high. We are protesting about election what do we call it? Electoral justice. There's a lot of things that we are protesting for. Sasa hakuna mtu ambaye is normal anaweza kuja akisema
one moment.
Being aired on screen started after fire raised down some stores here. These are just stores next to the Juakali market that also experienced similar scenario during the last protest. A number of stalls just in the nearby market also have been raised down, and we had the efforts by Kisumu County Fire Brigade team trying just to put the fire out. They have managed, though there were some people who were also trying to join hands with the Fire Brigade team to salvage those goods in the stores. But fire exchange between protesters and the police officers started immediately after the Fire Brigade team left, and the protesters are claiming that it is the police officers who fired tear gas canisters to them, and the tear gas canisters exploded, burning down one of the stores that made the fire to spread. But those are just claims that are yet to be ascertained. But I have to tell you that we've seen it was a pretty calm since morning, less for the protesters who are joining the area MP, that's Kisumu Central, Mheshimiwa Joshua Ron, who was leading a host of MCAs from this region in a peaceful demonstration from Kondele all the way to Nyamasaria. And the moment they reached Nyalenda, they had planned to proceed to Dunga Beach. But when they reached Nyalenda, they were dispersed by police officers, and that has not, their protest has not been experienced after that moment. So here we've seen the second and the biggest incident of the day. After the fire brigade team left the scene of the fire, there were stones being pelted to the police officers who are just peacefully standing here and manning just to ensure that these guys do not get their way to the CBD. So the police had no other option other than to fire tear gas canisters. They have dispersed the angry youths, but from a distance you can see that they're coming again from the Busia route just to reach the Juakali area near Aga Khan Hospital and exchange maybe with the police officers. But we have a good number of security officers who have been manning this particular point and the Patel point that is also a leeway and a get past to Kondele on your way to Kakamega. But there has been so far no reports of gunshot wounds as we experienced last week during the demos here in Kisumu. Up to now, so far, no news of serious injuries and gunshot wounds from the hospital department. But that is something you're going to follow up. It's always the norm here. The real exchange starts maybe at midday, and it goes on until late in the evening. Remember, there was also that announcement there by the Azimio Brigade that once it's 12 in the midday, we'll be seeing people turning up with spears on their heads. But that has not been the case in Kisumu. Though we will not see the residents turning up in large numbers to fulfill that call by the Azimio Brigade. But so far so good. Nothing to worry about. Nothing to report about here in Kisumu, because this is a place that when demos are called, it is always chaotic. But so far so good today. We can see there's a good number of people, despite the shops being closed. One or two businesses are still open, and you can see a good number of border operators here in Kisumu, just trying to ferry people who are in the CBD. But those are some of the things that we'll be following up. Remember, in Migori and in the morning in Suna West, there were some two gunshot injuries that were reported to people who are demonstrating there were shot by police, but they are still operating in one of the hospitals at
Okay, Mr. G, you're saying? Ilikuwa Mr. G ama
Okay,
alikuwa nani?
what else? Yeah. What I was trying to say ni kuwa, Mr. Nice, there's something that we have commented on, ambao I think we need to be democratic. Now, ukweli, okay, I don't know where you come from, but I know you're outside Kenya. But I believe that you understand kuwa in central Kenya, most of our people walikuwa brainwashed with those leaders. Na hata nani alijitokeza, huyu ambaye anaitwa Murade, alijitokeza akasema we are one of these people ambao tulikuwa tunaleta propaganda about Raila. So when somebody comes and say kuwa aliambiwa tusimake kuwa is an issue, because these guys waliambiwa it was a propaganda and some of them believed. Okay, there's an echo, sijui echo inatoka wapi, but there's an echo somewhere. Yeah, some of them believed him na wengine wakakosa kumwamini. Look at what's happened right now. A lot of people from Central Kenya wamejitokeza, wanakataa kabisa mambo ya Gachagua. Most of them wamejitokeza kabisa, wanasema no, this is not right, even though wanajaribu kusema sijui Raila nini sijui Azimio, but the guys stand on their ground. So to see make kwa ni issue sana. These people were told, na pia some of us kwa tunaambiwa, watu wetu pia kwa naambiwa kwa mtu fulani utumvotea mbaya. Kuna some issue ambao imetokezea ambao ni propaganda between our guys from Central Kenya na our guys from Kisumu ambao si ukweli. So tusifanye ikawa kama an issue sana. That was just by the way. But what I was trying to say also ni kuwa, I think nimesikia somebody commenting akisema kuwa polisi wanachoma mabiashara za watu. Ni ukweli kabisa, ama polisi tumekuwa na clips. Wanaenda wanapiga hata pikipiki, watu wamesimamisha pikipiki zao kando, jamaa mapolisi wanaenda wanapiga pikipiki. Polisi wanarusha mawe kwa madirisha, wanavunja madirisha za nyumba za watu. So these guys are the problem in Kenya. Although watu wanaleta propaganda kuwa problem ni Raila. No. Watu wote ambao wametuletea shida are these policemen. I don't know which school they always go. Kwa sababu I remember in the old constitution, I think the old constitution allowed them to issue, to deny and to revoke some permits about this issue ya maandamano. But the current constitution iliwanyima. They have no right to issue or to revoke any permit. But they are told to wanafaa watu protect. Wakati tunaenda ku issue some tukiwa na maandamano inaenda kufanyika mahali fulani, we just have to inform them kuwa tutakuwa na maandamano mahali fulani, and they have to give us that protection kwa sababu ya some things ambazo zinaweza happen ambazo zinakuwa ni wrong. But these guys, I wanted this question goes to Bernard direct. Bernard, I believe that we always have a rubber bullet. What is it happening about siku hizi hata sijasikia kitu kama rubber bullet tena, nasikia tu live bullet, and yet I'm told in our constitution kuwa no one kukuwa na protest, no one is allowed to die kwa sababu ya protest, kupigwa live bullet. No, they have to use rubber bullets. They have to use water cannon. They have to use their rungos, but although sometimes they wanaenda kwa stream. So what really happened to these rubber bullets?
Our police wants to commit crime. You don't commit crime using stipulated rules. Probably, if you investigate further, they may have a better market for rubber bullets. So when they are bought, they are sold elsewhere. Whenever they are protests, they are not available for use. That's just my speculation. But usually, if you notice that now this is serious about the security apparatus of our country. If you remember Michuki and how Michuki dealt with the Mongiki, when Mongiki was a force to reckon with, what cut Mongiki to size was that order of shoot to kill. Shoot to kill is the only deterrent from crime in this country. Because being arrested and being taken to court or in a police cell, that one is normal, like drinking water. because people have got how to get out anytime. So the only thing that scares people is being shot and they are dead. The fear of death, the only thing that keeps people from crime in this country. And people committing crime are also, when I'm saying that you get in and get out means the police are involved. We have had cases of police who hire out their gun to the criminals, and then they bring back with interest in the evening. And so the aspect of using rubber bullets to them is a waste of time. They want to scare people away, and the only way to scare people away is to make a few of them fall so that they will be afraid to come out. It's against the law. It is inhuman. It is problematic, but that is what they want to do. And of course, it has worked for them. It's just like, you have found a way of making your people do what you want them to do. And so when it comes for you following due process, you look at it as an inconvenience. That's what Zakayo is suffering from, okay? Zakayo knows that if you want to get your way, force people into that way. Now he gets the 2010 constitution that says these people have a right to insult you, have a right to picket, have a right to participate in civil disobedience, and they have not broken the law. He does not compute that. They must have broken something. And so he looks for an excuse to get that done. So rubber bullets, I'm sure they are around, but they don't want to use it because to them it's not effective. What is effective is gun down a few people to make others go away. Bad, but that is how it is. Okay, okay, thank you. I can see Alex here. Good. Alex, Leona pia keep up.
Let me help him on that. Mr. G, the Kenya police was militarized during the Kibaki regime. In the wake of the 2007, the GSU in Roysambu started receiving military equipments. And in so doing, recently you saw another act of impunity when you saw a joint effort between the military and the police on North Rift to curb cattle rustling. And the insanity about it was the police were to be on top of what? The military. You remember that? and right now we don't have a police force. The name was changed by Ruto. We have, what's the names? Can somebody remind me? There is a joint name that Ruto changed the police force to. It's almost like a military thing. And so when we see our police go to the efforts of combat missions or exercise, it's no longer like what they do in Kiganjo. If you saw, I think was yesterday, when they were exercising, I think it was in Citizen, on how to combat protesters, hawakuwa na rungu. If you saw that. Walikuwa na hiyo gauge like a shield, but they have a shotgun. Now, some of those shotguns do not have the capability of holding rubber bullets. So you must ask yourself, military people don't have the luxury of rubber bullets. Why should a military person have rubber bullets and their work is to protect the country? When you're fighting with the neighboring countries, do you take rubber bullets? Do you take rubber bullets? Does that make sense? So once we militarized our police, that was the end of it. So you're going to see that militarization of our police become even more and more. If you saw some of the vehicles that were lined up. If you in Facebook, we saw some pictures. People took pictures of vehicles. They are not the normal police vehicles. In fact, they are darker green, like military vehicles. If you saw that, they are not blue vehicles for utumishi kwa wote. And that is one crime that I think we must take to the ICC if it was a functional code. And unfortunately, I don't believe in ICC. It's a political code that can never bring justice to Kenya. Everything is settled based on political arrangement, not based on justice. That's why people like Bagbo, that's why like this guy from Congo, they've all been exonerated based on the peace arrangement they want and based on political affiliations that they are supporting. So Kenyan police is no longer Kenya police. It's Kenya Police Force. That's the name they called it now. Okay? And that's why we have the unique situation whereby in Baragoy or in wherever it is, Marakwet up there, Mali, we are trying to fight cattle rustlers. The person in charge of the military is the police. Something that should not happen anywhere in the world. If it could have been police marshal, I could have agreed because they are similar. Police marshal is almost similar to the military. But when now it comes to just a normal police officer from the police department overseeing, and I think I will give you that clip. I'll send Bernard that clip when the military was in a conundrum that they are being led by the police force of Kenya. So that is the situation. You cannot get any more rubber bullets because it's a police force that is joined with the military. Thank you.
Okay, Alex, you guys can engage each other and find
Bernard,
clip.
can I share my screen? I'm seeing a video here of Nakuru West MP Samuel Arama holding a gun and threatening protesters.
Okay. You
But
can
it's
share.
okay. Later it can come later. It's not urgent.
No, we can. I think I have a clip. I have the clip. Let me see. But if you share, you can't share directly. That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
Because you are not an admin. If you share, I have to
Okay.
authorize it before it goes
It's
on
okay.
the
Just
screen.
okay.
That's why
You play it.
Let me see if it can come out. But this is terrible. This country is falling apart. Now, Alex, find for me keep. Okay, I need to get out of here. Although we are in the final hour, I would want to cut that tukaanza ingine mpya, kwa sababu nikiwacha hapa mtakaa hapa 12 hours, mniachie mimi matatizo na YouTube.
Okay, Bernard, just one thing as you search for the clip, just something that I wanted some elaboration from you guys. This issue ya ile lori ya Malaba, I don't know if you heard of the lori. Ile lori ambayo ilitoka Uganda with the police from Uganda na ikapitishwa direct from the border without passing through the procedure ambayo inafaa iwe. You know, we have been declaring for a very long time and we always know that any truck ikipita border, like tuseme kama gari inatoka kama port, always you have to follow the procedure ambayo inafuatishwa pale, na that truck kuenda lazima iwe na documentation, but we are told that the lorry had no documentation, lakini ililetwa na mapolisi na ilikuwa inataka pia ikuje Kenya ichukuliwe na mapolisi iende, and yet last week we were told that some nini zilikuwa zimeisha, some equipment ambayo alikuwa anatumia kwa raio kwa protesters zilikuwa zimeisha. So can it be that the weapons ambao alikuwa anatumia na Uganda, because we know Museveni and Ruto they are one people, inaweza kuwa alikuwa anatumia that route kuleta weapons in Kenya ndio waweze kuhamu watu wetu, kwa sababu tumeona ni kama impunity imekuwa mingi sana in Kenya. How can you try to pass some some goods ambao hatuelewi ni which goods without any proper documentation. Na the same government wakati tulikuwa na protest mwanzo the same people ambao walitumia ambulance kuferi some goons wakienda kupiga nini ya Raila, kampuni ya Raila. Sijui if you heard of the story, somebody anaweza tuambia what is happening.
I think the last time I checked, I think I heard that the clearance officers, since it was under the signatory to force some of the clerical officers to sign, I think 2 of them came forward and said that they have not authorized it. I think it had a problem. So what I heard is the vehicle is still there. It hasn't moved, but then you never know what already had come to Kenya. I don't think it was a single vehicle. If that was the case, it can't be a single vehicle. So that's my take. But then I think it was setting an alarm that probably some illegalities are happening. However, the one they singled, I think up to late yesterday evening, there were still pictures saying that it hasn't been cleared. So I think for the sake of international or border control, I think they may have left it because it was under radar. The question is, did we have other vehicles earlier, or now did they use a different, mobility? So you never know. But this one vehicle that was censored, I think up to late yesterday, it was still at the border.
That's right. It's still at the border. It's because an alarm was raised. Did we have other vehicles that passed? Probably, but that's still just speculative. What happened is that remember, this is the time we have 3 days consecutive maandamanos. So they were looking for more reinforcement. Since the 1 day maandamano in our changa were exhausted with everything finished. So they must have ordered more ammunition, which now is trapped there. And of course, they may pull a bomber's move at night and get the truck in. You know the criminals we are dealing with. So is get to that border place, take charge of the place, and move the vehicle, and leave the officers there helplessly. The kind of impunity that these people are acting with, only God knows. It is bad for the country. It's bad for the Kenyan people. Just look at this member of parliament. Video imekataa kuja ama nimefanyaje? Just a moment. Sorry, ni kama nimetumiwa baga. What do we do? It's not playing. I'm told my browser is being prohibited from playing video. Itumbi may be after us again. Let me see if I can play it on this other side because it's a small one. Just a minute. One moment. Hii ni kunifanyisha overtime. Okay, let me see if itakubali huku. All right. Okay. Okay, here we go. Let me see if it plays. I played that.
Kwani hatukupigia Raila kura? Si hata mimi nilimpigia akashindwa na William Ruto, alafu anakuja kutuambia upuzi hapa. Hao watu hata nikasema hiyo watu wapigwe marisasi, kwa nini hawezi kupigwa? Mimi nitapiga mtu risasi. Wewe kutoka hapa mtu hata kwa kanda fanya kazi. Toka hapa muende. Sasa mnakuja kukamatwa na polisi hapa. Kwani hatukupigia Raila kura? Si hata mimi nilimpigia akashindwa na William Ruto, alafu anakuja kutuambia upuzi hapa. Hao watu hata nikasema hiyo watu wapigwe marisasi, kwa nini hawezi kupigwa? Mimi nitapiga mtu risasi. Wewe kutoka hapa mtu hata kwa kanda fanya kazi. Toka hapa muende. Sasa mnakuja kukamatwa na polisi hapa.
So those were the instructions they were given at State House to go use their guns to stop protests in their constituencies. Alex, I beg you can take the chair for a while. Huh? I'll be supporting you from the backyard. I need to get my head settled.
Okay, but I think if you are not back in 1 hour, we'll close. I need to wake up to go to work.
In fact, it's not 1 hour, it's 40 minutes. As soon as 5 hours, we cut the link, we come back again.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, MJM, welcome. I think, yeah, the shame on you, Arama. Thank you, Trufosa, for saying that. I mean, that's the height of impunity. I mean, he belongs to jail. You cannot just, that's misuse of arm, first of all. It should be taken away from him. Secondly, those are threats. Thirdly, the police is behind him is doing nothing. Those police should be arrested. I mean, that's a crime scene in itself. I mean, there's so much you can say about that. These are peaceful Protestants. They are not beating up. So, I mean, if he was to go to court, there are several charges he can face, including the police officers who are behind him. So, MJM, you have not submitted. Karibu sana, long time.
Thanks a lot. First of all, please confirm if you can hear me.
Yes.
Yeah, it has been a long time, and I think I've been a bit busy. I've been moving around, the nature of my work, so I've been following in the background. And just the other day is when I made my first contribution. I think it was like 2 weeks ago when I made my first contribution. After a very long time, I think after 2 months. But I usually do follow in the background. I usually do speak, and I'm really, can I say, really impressed, or maybe I was really following up on what Phoenix was talking about, and it's like Phoenix sources are my sources, because it's like we are aligning in the same thing. Because when he says he has been to South Sudan, Djibouti, and those have been the areas of my work. Yeah, I've been to South Sudan. I've been currently I'm working in Mogadishu, and I've also been to DRC. And exactly what you are saying is exactly what happens. You know, the problem is we're in a situation where the current administrators think that getting a gun will be a huge task. When the market is there, the weapons will be found. That one is one thing they have to know. The market is there, the weapons will be found. What makes a society civilized is not, or what makes a society law-abiding is not the use of force or threats. What makes a society law-abiding is the fact that all people are treated, I can put quote unquote equally, because we know how the animal farm works, but it's that all people have subjected themselves to like the same, under the same rules, such that when we agree that these are the rules, and we agree that this is how the rules are going to be followed, then all of us play by those rules. However, if we agree these are the rules, we agree these are the way the rules are to be played, but you later come and you say, no, for you, you follow the rules. For me, I have a special pass. So you'll find that people now start doubting, like, then, so why are the rules important? Why should we be forced to follow the rules and yet others are not following the rules? So that is exactly how Ruto's administration is behaving. And it's like, I never experienced the Kenyatta government. No, I never experienced the Kenyatta government, but I experienced the Moi government. I experienced the Kibaki government, I experienced the Uhuru government, and now I'm experiencing Ruto's administration. And for those, I always say, for those who are our age mates, you can just see there are a lot of similarities between Arap Moi and Arap Ruto. There are lots of similarities. And it's like he wants to be a full dictator, but he's trying to think the image he projected before getting allegedly getting into office, and what he's cornered with right now. He's conflicted. Deep inside, he really wants to come out in force and do all those stuff and everything, but he's just confused and he doesn't even know, because it's like he's panicking. And sometimes I usually get to think that maybe that's my theory, that Ruto could be having a mental problem. Yeah, you might be saying a lot of things, but Ruto could be having a mental problem because the kinds of lies, leaders do lie. Yes, that one we know, leaders do lie. Yeah, whether they are white lies, whether they are outright lies, whatever they are, propaganda, but leaders do lie. But Ruto is serious. He just jumps from one lie to another without blinking, without batting an eyelid, and he just lies. Then he comes again and turns it, and the people around him try to justify. Like right now, if he was to repeal the financial bill, all those people who are saying that the financial act is good, you will see what will happen. They will just turn around and say, you see, this is wisdom because we spoke to him and we negotiated. You remember what happened in Kasarani in 1991? Every speaker came. I remember saying Jenga Karume, Ole Tipis, those people who were speaking. Oh, you remember what they say? You remember what they said? Those who remember that clip. And they are saying hao watu wanatusumbua sijui nini na nini na hawataki amani Kenya, blah blah blah. And then Moi comes and says they're going to get rid of Section 2A. What happens? Immediately they flip and come and say, yes, yeah, there is Moi's wisdom, he's a giraffe, he sees way ahead and all that. So that just tells you the kind of person. I think that guy has a mental problem. He could be having a mental problem. So my submission is, we are at, as Phoenix was saying, we are at a delicate stage. And when I say delicate stage, for those who were in Juba in 2016, for those who worked in South Sudan and were in Juba in 2016, you can remember what happened. Alex, na huwa naona watu sijui watu wanakuja na mapanga na marungu and they want to scare people and sijui tutachinja. For if you are in Juba in 2016, Juba itself, the kind of ammunition rounds that were going off, that you just say that you just knew that today, leo tunaenda kukufa leo. Today, if you make it at night, then you're so happy. If you don't make it, if the next morning you don't know what is going to happen. The rounds that were going off, yani unasikia vile Phoenix alikuwa sema yani inapita na ukuta. And those guys don't, and imagine both sides, they didn't care. Here at least in Kenya, there is some restraint. But in Juba, when you peeped out of your accommodation window, there were bodies lying on the streets. that road that comes from State House to the airport, it was just covered in blood. It was literally covered in blood, and it wasn't a beautiful sight. The guys were not restrained, yeah. And earlier, these were the same people, just some few months, but you could tell there was tension before that meeting. Before that happened, there was tension building up. And people were saying, 2013 walipigana, haitafanyika tena. 2013 si walipigana na haitafanyika. But when 2016 came, it was really serious. And I was looking at it saying, wow. The same thing, I always like giving these examples. You know, for me and relating with history and reading, that is what really gives me a clear head. In 1994, the Rwandan example has always been given. Kagame had escaped. The Tutsis were really the PFR or RPF, the PFR, Patriotic Front du Rwanda. That one was headed by Paul Kagame. It was a party. It wasn't a militia group. It was a party. But they had really suffered under the shenanigans of the Hutus. Kagame ran away, went to his cousins in Uganda. The Banyankole and the Tutsi, those are cousins. They speak almost the same language, similar language, just like Samburu and Maasai, they speak almost similar language. And he went there, he was made the head of intelligence. You remember, it is Kagame who arrested Koigi in the 80s and brought him back to Kenya. So the Hutus knew that they were clean. And why? Because they were receiving patronage from France. Whatever they would do, France would always be on the side. Whatever the Hutu regime would do, France would be on their side. But then it came to a time when the government was shaky and they felt that, okay, fine. These things that Gachagua is saying, these things that these people of UD are shouting, that we will deal with the Hutus once and for all. This will be the final solution. We'll deal with it. Those things that Hitler and Adolf Eichmann would say, that you're going to deal with them for the last time. It was those tension building. The international community was told by, I can't remember the name of that general from Canada. He gave them and told them, arms are being supplied. Arms have been imported. This is going to happen. The international community just played it cool. They said, no, nothing can happen like that. Then in April, as people woke up, as people went to sleep, the slaughtering started. But what happened is the aggressors later were the ones who were now on the run. The international community abandoned Rwanda. It is only in Museveni, maybe because that was his cousin, he went in, helped Kagame, pushed him all the way until he arrived Kigali and chased those guys. And Mobutu himself, because he was sympathetic to the Hutus, he kept Habirimana's body and he gave the Hutu extremists safe passage. And it's a whole story of how that thing came and how Mobutu was later deposed. So I'm saying our case may just look like it is our own problem, but it could suck the whole of East Africa. That's what I'm telling you. It may seem like a small problem because once the conflict starts, it sucks people. It sucks because everybody has an interest. Believe it or not, everybody, whether it is Tanzania, whether it is Uganda, whether it is Ethiopia, whether it is Somalia, everybody has an interest in Kenya. Everybody has an interest. The international communities, the regional players, everybody has an interest in Kenya. If anything flares up, you are going to be surprised how things are going. That's why I'm saying arms are not hard to get because people have their own interest, and this could really go in the wrong direction. So what Phoenix was saying was, if this guy could just swallow the bitter pill and accept vimemshinda, ukiwa unshinda unakubali tu, unasema okay, sawa, vimenishinda hapa, let me just sit down and try and see how I can do it. Hivyo vimemshinda. Otherwise, trying to scare people, shooting people, it only creates matters. You know, the problem is when you shoot people in the street, this is not the 70s or the 80s. You're only creating matters, and even people now will even now come out more. And now even you'll be even alienating some of the police officers and the security forces that could have helped you. And now you eliminate them, and people will now start going back to where they know best, where they have their easiest comfort, and that is their community or their tribe. The last example I'll give is here where I'm working. The president at that time comes in with a bloodless coup. Yeah, it was a coup, bloodless, exactly like this one, like the one which you're talking about, bloodless coup, 1969. Deposes President Sheikh Mukhtar and the Prime Minister Mohamed Egar. Then from 1969, because of global interests, yeah, the Soviets, the Americans come, try to compete, and the guy is the center of attention. He does a lot for the country, for the Somalia and all that. But then out of his just, I don't know what happens, maybe kufura kichwa manini, he decides that he must come, and because he wants to be like, there was an ancient Somali leader known as Sheikh Mullah. So he wanted to unite the whole of the Somalis under himself. Because, you know, you see the Somali star, which has 5 points, which is, the points are Djibouti, there's Somaliland, there's Somalia, where I'm working, northeastern Kenya, and Ogaden in Ethiopia. Those 5, he wanted to unite them. Then what happens? He goes and starts a war. His backers, the Soviets, tell him, no, don't go into war. He doesn't listen. Citizens are happy that he's bringing development. The US, who were his new allies, tell him, no, don't go to war with Ethiopia. At that time, Mengistu Haile Mariam had also overthrown Haile Selassie. He doesn't listen. Then the Soviets say, okay, fine, you want to go to war? We can't do anything. You just do what you want. Then what happens is the Soviets move over to Mengistu, because that was a communist revolution. And what they do, they say they cannot get involved in the war directly. Why? Because it will be seen that Russia has engaged. And once Russia engages, they fear that the US might go to the other side. And you remember that was a Cold War period. The US might go to the other side and back Somalis. So what do? They agree with Fidel, and Fidel brings in Cubans. So there's no Cubans and Ethiopians. If you look at their skin complexion and color, they're somehow similar, so it will not be detected. So the Cuban soldiers, who are really experienced, who are good fighters, who are guerrilla fighters, battle hardened, they come in and they push Siad Barre out of the Ogaden region. And by 1978, the war is over now. After that war is over, he used a lot of resources. The country is poor. I mean, the country is drained financially. People's morale are low. Then, now that's when things start to spiral. They start to go down. So what happens? Instead of being more pragmatic and trying to maybe make the country free and accept a mistake that happened, know that the guy now becomes even more of a worse dictator. So what happens is that he takes over businesses. All businesses are now nationalized. It just becomes a big mess. Then the worst thing that happens, it's in 1990. He goes for a soccer match at the stadium in Mogadishu. Because he has become so popular, he's booed. He tries to make some speeches on how great Somalia is and all that, and then he's booed. After being booed, what happens? The signal is given. On that side where fans were booing, fire is opened on that crowd. The police opened fire. The official numbers is 65, but it is said that 109 people died. That was the end now. That was exactly the end. Fighting breaks out. It starts like a small fight, then clans come and they unite and they now start fighting. And by, was it 1991, when he had to escape to Kenya on a tank or something like, or on an armored vehicle, then the effects of what happened. So what I'm saying is that it's better to negotiate than to try and use force. Force ended long time ago. The use of force in governing ended long time ago. Nowadays, governance is negotiated. We agree you rule over us. We won't give you problems, but also the rules that you have told us to keep, we also ask you to also keep those rules. So this use of force, it can never work. It will never work. And I would not want to see something like United Nations Mission for the Stabilization of Kenya. That is the worst thing that can ever happen to a country. Like we have United Nations for stabilization of South Sudan, for stabilization, MONUSCO for stabilization of Congo, MINUSCA for stabilization of Central African Republic. We wouldn't like that. So this thing that they're trying, it will backfire. History repeats itself. So what I'm just saying is, yes, protest will go on. People will try as much as they can to be peaceful, but the use of force doesn't mean that somebody somewhere is just there sitting and waiting to be slaughtered and like a sitting duck. No. Even I'm sure there are people right now who are just, I cannot speculate, but I'm sure there are people who would try to arm themselves privately, such that Kikiumana, he'll have a way of protecting himself just to send a message. He doesn't care because it has reached a point where it seems like our country has lost hope. It seems like the 2010 constitution didn't provide any remedy. It seems like just stuff is just moving. For me, my take from this is that Ruto was never meant for leadership. He doesn't have leadership qualities at all. He doesn't have leadership qualities. That's the end of my submission.
Thank you, MJM, for that historicity. I mean, you see, I mean, some of us are devoid of that knowledge, and just a small football match sparks, and then the rest is history. Somebody runs in an armored vehicle. And Phoenix, you saw what MP Arama is doing. And if that could have been, let's say, Babu Owino, if that could have been Sifuna, if that could have been, let's say, maybe an MP from Nyanza, don't you think they will be at the rooftops saying that we are causing anarchy? What will be the news right now? Because you're the one who wanted to play that video.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. I think if it was Babu Owino, I think he would have even been shot on the spot. They would not even have arrested him. Maybe if I can expand on that a bit deeper, and why I wanted to play that video. These guys are power drunk, completely power drunk. Because this is a public forum, I don't know how many other people, but I'm not afraid if there's intelligence here or police here. Those are very small people to me. They can never, if they cannot, even this place where I live, this is our property, very big place. It is protected by the police. Yeah. But I don't know about who these other people here are, so I will not say so much. But let me just say that in the previous regime, I was very much inside, deep in the government. And even in this regime, I have that option of being able to be in government right now if I wanted to. This morning, I was in the sauna in one of the facilities here in Nakuru. And in that sauna, some of the other members, my friends, are people who are very much inside the Ruto administration. And these people are power drunk. Ruto did not really expect that he could win this election. More so even Gachagua, our beloved deputy president. They still do not believe 1 year later that they have won. And this is why you will see them all the time, day and night. Breakfast, lunch, and dinner, holding press conferences attacking Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta. They still have that mentality that they are actually under his leadership. Probably William Ruto still thinks he's deputy president, and there's nothing much he can do about the economy. He's actually waiting for Uhuru to call him, probably. and to give him assurance and courage to move forward with his job. And I'm not trying to be funny, okay? So going back to this issue of being power drunk, when you see somebody like Arama doing this to his own constituents, that has happened just a few kilometers from where I am, not more than 3 kilometers from where I am. His own constituents. You can do that. Forget about the impunity of carrying a gun. Okay? There's impunity, and this is why I say they are power drunk. They believe that they now own this country. Nothing, not only can he not be arrested, he can shoot you. He was not joking. Arama is not Arama is not a dog that barks idly. Eh? If Samuel Arama holds a gun and he's telling you he's going to shoot you, my brother, unless you want to become a martyr, run. That man is not a joke. Okay? He knows he can get away with it. And there's a precedence. We have had rumors. I don't know if it was true. Kimilili MP, Didimas Baraza, he might have shot somebody somewhere. Okay? That case just went like that. So Arama can shoot you and he will get away with it. So this power drunk element is very toxic. I've been in power. In the previous regime, I was very much in power. Fortunately, I thank God, I never abused any powers that was granted to me, big or small. I never harassed anybody. I have never done business with government, let alone big tenders. Zero. Counties, government, my name is clean. And anybody, that is how I'm able even to show my face here. Okay? Nobody can point a finger from anywhere and say Kevin has stolen. Kevin is the kind of person you cannot trust with power. He abuses power. He takes advantage of power. Yeah? My friends, let me tell you something. Why do you think Uhuru Kenyatta was so hesitant to give William Ruto this presidency? Why do you think Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta, a very senior man, in Kikuyu culture, let me tell you, you do not call God aimlessly. You do not say guy, just like the way women do. And especially if you are speaking in front of the people you lead, women and children. Uhuru Kenyatta almost daily used to call God, telling people, guys, do you know that once I give away this thing, I cannot get it back? And the person that you are telling me to give it to, I know him very well. And this power, if there's somebody in Kenya alive today, actually it is two people who understand what power is. Number one, of course, is Mama Ngina Kenyatta. She has been close to power since independence. Number two, and the one I would like to focus on, is Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta. Uhuru, since his birth, he has been in power. When Moi came, he protected Uhuru and brought him into politics. When Kibaki came, he even appointed him as a deputy prime minister in his government. Uhuru knows what power is. And of course, he has been president himself for 10 years. He knows what power is. My friends, I'm telling you, you people, you think you know what power is. Me, I have seen power with my eyes. Power can change your life like this. Yeah? William Ruto right now can change your life like this. Okay? And nobody will ever recognize you again from this day forward. And not only can he do that for you, he can do that at a very, very large scale. The Kenyan economy is massive. Our budget is over 3.4 trillion shillings. 3.4 trillion shillings. Imagine you are controlling that kind of money. The forces of Kenya are not to be joked with. The police force is the best in East and Central Africa, hands down. MJM, my brother, thank you for for telling me that you also part of these countries. You know how far and above Kenya is. The judiciary of Kenya is not a puppet judiciary. It is not a banana judiciary. No, very serious institution. Okay, but sticking to the power that the president has, the police, the military, the intelligence. Okay, he is a very, 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 very powerful man. And that is why, in his power-drunk state, William Ruto is still in denial. He's still in denial. Because he is saying, or am I not the president of this country? Why am I not in control of this country?
So Kevin, Phoenix,
sorry, yes.
I think you bring the trajectory that MJM was bringing earlier. Is he suffering from compounded delusion? How are you not able to still computate that you are in power 1 year later? Because we think Ruto has been a president only 3 months, but actually next month, in less than 10 days, we are going to get to August, which is basically a year from a year since we had an election. Is the guy suffering from a psychological compounded delusion that he doesn't know his job? Is he too selfish? Is he incompetent? What is it? He was the deputy for 10 years. Why is he in denial?
Okay, my brother, let me tell you one thing. I am playing the devil's advocate here. Now, so William Ruto was given the sword of the country, and the ADC switched from Uhuru Kenyatta's side to William Ruto's side. Switching back that ADC to bring him back to you, to stand behind you, is very difficult in this Kenya of today. Okay? So William Ruto, at that moment, I am sure he knew, okay, then I'm the president. Of course, he was still in a bit of shock, but it started to settle in. And then things went quiet. Raila went quiet, Uhuru went quiet, everybody did their own business. Then problem started when this attack on Kenyatta family started. Starting with NCBA Bank, saying that NCBA Bank has not paid its due taxes, and the exemption that was granted by the previous regime should be exempt. And then, as things went on, they started also attacking Raila and his family. And these are politicians. Of course, they know if you start attacking them, they have to go back to their political basis. And so, fast forward, we are in the present situation today. And so William Ruto is wondering, how am I not able to command this country and make people follow my direction? Because according to him, he played all the cards right. He poached from the opposition. He has basically cannibalized Jubilee. Jubilee is gone. Jubilee is gone. Forget about it, Mr. Uhuru Kenyatta. Jubilee is gone. So he cannibalized the opposition, took some MPs from Jubilee, ODM, and the rest. So he knew he has a very powerful majority, enough even to change the constitution. And at that moment, again, I'm sure he felt that, yes, I am the man in charge. But lo and behold, he has been telling us, hakutakuwa na maandamano for 3 months. Kesho hakutakuwa na maandamano tena. Nataka niwaeleze, nataka nifanye, sijui kama mnanielewa. You know his talk. But despite all his talk, okay, despite all the efforts of the good Professor Kindiki Kithure, they are not able to do anything about this maandamano. So it is becoming clear to him he is not in charge. That meeting being called at State House, openly discussing that they go and fund in each of their constituencies violence against protesters. These protesters are Kenyans. Remember, this is State House. I don't think ever in the history of State House Kenya has a president called a meeting that has approved that violence can be meted by Kenyans against other Kenyans. Guys, he is desperate. And my fear is this: a man who is desperate and who clearly has some psychological issues, as you, my brother, are trying to put very eloquently here. Like there's some serious mental issues happening here. Okay, so combined mental issues, the trauma of realizing that he actually cannot fool Kenyans because his hustler versus dynasty narrative has crumbled. And then he's actually swallowing that bitter pill slowly that, oh my goodness, Raila is actually in charge of this country. So, and then now he becomes desperate. You put such a person in the corner, and of course, you know that he has a sizable command of the police force. He doesn't control the entire police force, not yet, but he has a sizable backing as we speak right now. So combine all these things, guys. You have to be very careful and very cautious with how you deal with President William Ruto. He might react in a way that might be very regrettable for this country. And because of how sensitive and critical this matter is, I do not just want to yap my mouth. Let me just stop it there. But things are not good. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much. So it looks like a man who listens to himself. He doesn't listen to anybody. And one thing I'm getting from you is that he wasn't prepared actually to lead this country. He was actually prepared to be in the opposition, because I think he was doing a better job during the handshake as the opposition. And he should have continued with that. But that notwithstanding, I think he's also surrounded by people who also are not able to advise him. Yes men, yes men, yes men. So he doesn't have, you see, like Uhuru had a junk of elders, the Mount Kenya elders. He also had Raila on his side. So when you have people who are older than you, even if you have a position, their role supersedes your position, and therefore you are able to listen to them. Who does Ruto have who is older than him actually advising him? Is it Atuoli, Mr. G? Who is older than Ruto in that regime that is able to advise him? Is it Atuoli now or who?
Atuoli is older, but you know, there's something that you said, Mr. Alex. Overconfidence. The guy is arrogant, he's incompetent, alafu pia anasumbuliwa na that thing called overconfidence. You remember one time he stood up akatuambia kuwa hataki any advice from our party, from our Azimio. Akasema he knows how to fix this nation na anatushinda kwa kila kitu ambacho tunamshinda ni history peke yake. But economy and other things, he's far much better than us. That is what he told us. More overconfidence, and yet he doesn't know what to do. Hii government sasa imemshinda kugovern. Hako na kina Atuoli. Even Atuoli, I believe he cannot listen to Atuoli. You know, this guy, he's just blind. There's something that Phoenix said, they are drunk with the power. And you know, sometimes power inakufanya unakuwa blind. So right now, they're just blinded. The guy, remember the time alikuwa na campaign? In fact, he was as if he's a person ambaye he's really connected with that person ambako chini, ule mwananchi wa chini. Anajua kabisa kama vile jamaa kwa analala njaa, anajua kabisa vile jamaa kwa anakosa kazi. And now when he came up and he took the power, amejisahau. He's totally blind. And it's as if kama hakuwa na any connection with mwananchi wa chini. Now, the people who surround him, they're also arrogant. Some of them says wanasema wamesoma, but they're poor in thinking. There are those people ambao vile umesema, the yes sir guys, like this speaker from the parliament, the speaker. Hii ni tabia yake kuanzia kitambo akiwa na Moi. Huyu ni mtu ambaye akiona shida hata sema, atasema tu yes sir because they need some mileage. Nakumbuka Ruto ni mtu wa kupeana pesa kila wakati. So these people that are just there kwa ile mambo ya matumbo. If somebody kama somebody from Kisii, the young guy, huyu kijana mjinga huyu, Osoro, anaweza simama in the media. Yes Alex.
I wanted to say Osoro.
Yeah, Osoro anaweza simama kwa media before every person hapa tuambie kuwa they use trick with evil motive na wakataka convince our guys from Azimio just to vote yes for this bill to pass. Na hiyo ni kitu ambacho anaongea before everyone akicheka tena. So there are people who are full of impunity. The arrogance, alafu that blindness, hawaoni anything. If somebody anaweza simama ainue bunduki, aseme I can shoot you, na huyu mtu anakuambia he voted for Raila, alafu he just stand up anakuambia I can shoot you kwa sababu ya kuandamana. Na remember, people are protesting because of something that they know it's affecting them on this issue of bill. Just imagine how many companies zimefunga kwa sababu what is happening. Many companies, people have lost job. Youth wako wameketi hawana kazi, hakuna kitu inafanyika. In schools, some of our children hawaendi shule. Sahi some of our parents wameshindwa hata kulipa school fees, wameshinda kulipa rent kwa sababu hata vile chakula ya kuweka tu meza chakula watoto wakule imekuwa ngumu. Why? Because of how life it is right now. So when people wanasimama fighting for our right, somebody anainua bunduki anasema hata anaweza kushoot. That shows how Ruto is. Na hiyo ndio picha ambayo iko kwa hii government. Nobody can tell Ruto anything amsikize. Ruto angekuwa anasikiza advice hata kama alitibia kura, at least angekuwa amefanya something ambayo inaonyesha kuwa the guy can govern this country. The guy is there to help mwananchi wa chini. But there's nothing. Hata ile kitu ambayo inasema hustler fund. Hustler funds has never helped any person. Alitudanganya mambo ya CRB, anakuja kutoa watu CRB. Hakuna mtu hata mmoja ametoa. It was all fallacy. Uongo tupu. Na he's there, he's still bado ameketi anajipiga kifua akisema vile alitushinda asubuhi na mchana. Sasa fungue sasa tuone vile alitushinda asubuhi na mchana. Saa hii mtu mmoja ameuliwa tayari Mathare. Bila shida yoyote, bila makosa yoyote. Just because he's protesting the evil thing ambayo ina happen in Kenya. Tunaambiwa kwa saa hii amedirect police wasipeane any information on deaths ambazo zita happen. Kumaanisha ametuma mapolisi waende waue watu. Alafu iwe in darkness. That's why unaona in media most of time hakuna kitu inaendelea saa hii. Imewekwa in darkness. Hawataki information itoke. But people are being shot, people are being killed by this man. Kwa sababu his mission is to kill. There's somebody asking for a link. Sijui kama tunaweza pata link tumtumie. There's somebody asking for a link on the comment section.
Yeah.
So,
Bernard, kama uko nyuma tuweke link, and I think MJM is also behind. And I think there's something you've said there about Osoro. I'll tell you something about Osoro. What one of a analyst said about Osoro, which really made sense. But if you look at Arama comes from Kisii, by the way. And on the record, Mr. Phoenix, Kevin, Arama, I don't know if this time he won the election, but last time he didn't win against Dr. Alex Ochoki, the owner of Baraka. I mean, he forced his way. I think he was a Kifaranga computer. But Arama, as you said, is also psychologically not okay. I've seen him many times. Remember even alitaka kunyanganya mtu shamba a couple of years ago. He has also been involved with the gun issue before. Arama is a very controversial person, but let's go back to Osoro. Osoro, the thing he said about buying the MPs and openly. I think, don't you think that the overconfidence of Ruto is based that money can do anything and everything? Don't you think it's overconfidence? The psychological problem that Ruto has falls on money. Once he has money, he thinks money is greater than God. Money is greater than the people that voted him. Money is greater than the Constitution.
Sir, if I can come in there, I don't know if that was addressed to me, but maybe I'll just tackle it very quickly on
Anybody,
one point.
it's an open forum. Even you,
Okay.
nice,
Okay.
you can come anytime.
All right. So, guys, you see, William Ruto is a very simple man. Very, very simple. You can break him down in one sentence or in one paragraph. Let me give him some credit. So this Honorable William Ruto, how did he begin his journey in politics? You can ask his first mentor, political mentor, who is the Honorable Cyrus Jirongo. Long story short, Jirongo gave Ruto a tender to supply Y2K, those days of Y2K t-shirts. That was the first ever tender William Ruto was given. And according to Jirongo, and this one is something I heard him speak on live TV. I think it was an interview with Jeff Koinange. So he said Ruto would supply, say, t-shirts worth 100,000 shillings, and they would be stamped in to the store. Then he would talk to somebody at the logistics department. The t-shirts would be given to him through the back door. He would bring the same t-shirts, and yeah, that is how he started operating and doing his business. And beyond that, William Ruto is a true and loyal student of the politics of Daniel Arap Moi. The politics of Daniel Arap Moi is, if you use money, you grease people's hands, spread around money, people will allow you to do whatever you want. And of course, if a few people bring you problems, you have the police, you have your intelligence, and you have all those other agencies that you can use to quickly deal with them. When it comes to parliament, very easy. Bribe, buy. All these Jubilee MPs, of course, okay? I did not see them being given money, but you would not need to talk for 5 minutes to convince me that they were given something for them to switch, okay? Somebody like Sabina Chege, nominated to parliament by Uhuru Kenyatta on a Jubilee nomination slot. Kanini Kega, nominated to Iala by Uhuru Kenyatta. And then the same people go and become turncoats and take over his party. Money is what is talking. That is the politics that William Ruto understands. So that is why you see me saying, at a certain point, William Ruto, it started to settle in. Oh my goodness, I'm actually the president. I'm able to make things happen. I now have the money. I have the power, the security forces. Things are actually going my way. Okay? So, I don't know if it was him alone or him and Gachagua or Gachagua alone, though I mostly suspect it is the deputy president Gachagua alone. Yeah, he's very bitter. Akaanza kuchokoza Matiang'i. Akaanza kuchokoza akina Uhuru, mambo ya NCBA. Okay? Then of course we are where we are now because of that situation. Okay? So, William Ruto he is smart enough. I promise you, he's not stupid. He's smart enough to know that Raila has checkmated him. Okay? He is smart enough to know that Raila has checkmated him. There is no way out. Guys, if you can call for 3 days of maandamano and the government becomes so afraid that they even stop kids from going to school, there's no government. There's no government. Yeah? Raila has won. Anyway, that is my opinion. Thank you.
Not nice. I want. There was a good comedy this week in Kisii, and the banana peddler was saying something that was very, very important. He was saying nobody is abusing Osoro. Osoro has 2 names. His first name is Silvanus. His last name is Osoro. And he told us, if you take the first part of it is silver, the next part of it is Anas, Anas. And then Osoro, if you read it from backward, is Oroso, which means again, your Anas stinks. So people in Kisii are calling Osoro Nenyuma, which means Osoro is an ass. So, and he was saying, nobody's abusing Osoro. His 2 names, the first name is Silva Anas. The next one is Osoro, which you read from back is Oroso. How did you get it? Because that's how they call him now in Kisii.
Alex, that's another live.
Sorry for the interruption, gentlemen. Sorry for the interruption. I need to do a question, guys.
You're not clear.
The show is going to continue now.
Bernard
is unable to close the show. Yeah, I know my device is causing problems, but I'll close the show if it's okay, guys. I'm sorry for cutting you short. Bernard is Yeah, amekaa sana. Amekaa for almost, he's only slept for an hour today. We'll be back. So the conversation needs to keep happening, guys. Hii ni siku ya maandamano. The show really short. But thank you, audience. Thank you, Anna, Linda, Ahmed, Anna Marie. We're just going for a short commercial break. Not nice. Mr. G, Alex, you input has been.
We can't get you
quite
completely
sana.
now. I don't know. We can't get you totally completely. You are just cutting off and cutting off, cutting off.
My mic is bad. My mic is bad. That's all.
Can you log in? Can you log in again? Maybe it can be better. Log out and log in, and probably will hear you.
Anyway, Alex, while we wait for Kip to come back, I mean, what you say there, that's something else, man. You know, I agree with Phoenix. He mentioned something about Ruto. I think what has happened, Ruto has realized that he has lost this battle. He has lost this battle completely because it's mind-boggling to see that a president, I mean, the so-called president, he's turning against his own people that allegedly, I mean, from what he's saying, apparently these are the people who voted for him. And then the same people turned up. I think Kip is back. Let's see if it's clear now.
Is that better?
Yeah, much better.
All right. I just wanted to say that Bernard ametoka kidogo. I would like to close the show and we can continue afterwards in an hour or two.
You could give us just finishing remarks of two minutes and then you close it.
Yeah, sure. I agree with you. Yeah, but before that, I would like to thank Lillian, Lydia, Ted, Kitonga, Mohammed and of course, Alex at the bottom there, Kumbu bado on a comment. Angela Omboy, Alessia Peter, Wanga, Abraham, Thomas, Ezekiel, Labana, Abdallah, she's and African Queen, Mo Cardiff, all the way from the United Kingdom. Wealth in Christ, yeah. Evans Baraka, Mary Mungai, Christopher Sang. Thank you very much. We will be doing our last remarks, 2 minutes each. I'm going into a meeting in about 15 minutes. But yeah, Mr. G, not nice, and Gina bado natafuta.
Phoenix.
Thank you.
I think I'll just continue so that I finish what I was saying as a remarks as well. I think, Alex, what I think we can see is that Ruto has lost this battle. There's nothing left there. You can see how he's behaving. He's a dude who went to this office without any plan, and I don't think he won anything. He never won anything, but he went there without any plan. And he's somebody that when he's faced with a decision that either he make a decision that's going to benefit the country, he cannot do that. You can see that he cannot, because there's not any way that Ruto could be forced by an opposition. Because remember, he's supposed to be the president for the country. He's supposed to think differently. The Kenya itself should be the main focus for him, the safety. But what does he do? What he's doing shows you that he is somebody that is still novice. He was brought up in the environment where Moi's ways of ruling, but times have passed. It's not, we no longer live in those days anymore, where you could have one party that can just control everything. Things have changed. There's so much, people are exposed to so many things. So the way of ruling that Ruto was brought up in, his way of the schooling, it cannot work now. So when he tried to use them and they cannot work now, then you see what he decides to go to. Now he thinks that, like the gentleman you've just shown there, the gentleman with the gun. I mean, seriously, do you think any Kenyan, even in US, Alex, you know very well that even if you have the right to a gun, you cannot just be showing off the gun like that. It will be taken off you. That's not the way to use your gun. You are supposed to use that for protection. The only way you can show it is when your life is at risk. So right now, whose life is at risk there? And he's showing again. I mean, if that was anybody else, they would have arrested that person there. And he's right in front of the police that are standing there. And he's got a gun in front of them. So who is in charge? Was it the police or was it the dude that had a gun there? It's madness. But I'm glad that even though this is going to go for another 3 days, even my fellow panelists, if people are not even on the street, fighting on the street, what has changed today is that it's not normal life as usual. If that goes for the next 3 days, next week another 3 days, continuous like that for the next 3 days until the end of it, Kenya is just going to go down the drain. But that's not what we pray for. What we pray for is Ruto will give in and the right people will lead the country. Thank you very much, guys, and I hope to see you later on.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, not nice. I mean, what you have said there is quite heavy. If you remember, a couple of years ago, David Kimaiyo, when he was a police commissioner, he made some comedy that, if you remember, the guy with a can is more dangerous with a can with a guy. You remember that? So, I mean, for me, I think it's a replica of what Kimaiyo told us a couple of years ago, that if a person has a gun and he doesn't know how to use the gun, he's more dangerous than a person who doesn't have a gun. So in this case, I think Kimaiyo was right that some of these MPs do not know how to use their firearms. The reason is this. If you have a firearm, you know the rule that once you take it off, it's as good as shooting somebody. It's as good as shooting somebody. So if he was in this country, where we are today, he would have been charged with gun battery or premeditated murder, which is a felony, which means he can't have the rights to gun anymore. But what do you see? He's being protected by... So we have two sets of law. One for the members of parliament, actually three. Members of parliament, UDA, and the rest of Kenya. So that's the country we have. I don't know, Phoenix, I don't know if you are there. I have seen Pogon has come in. Pogon, I don't know if you want to, because we were finishing. Mr. G.
Yeah, just to add something on my 2 minutes, but I hope we'll be on the next show. Although Alex was someone kulala kidogo wa muke, but I think it
actually depends. It actually depends on what Pogon says. If Pogon wants to carry this on, I am more than happy to let him do that. Pogon.
Okay, then let me give my final submission. Then Pogon will tell us what next.
Continue. Sorry.
Okay, just to add something on what you guys, Forex was the first person to say that Ruto has lost, and Not Nice also has reported the same. Yeah. Not Nice also. He has just said that it's true that Ruto has lost. The same statement came from our senator, the ODM secretary, who said that Ruto has lost. Now, before I ask the question on that point, Ruto, I can just categorize him on those people who always believe that smart people are those people who always agree with what you say. We have just people who always believe that only smart people are those who can agree with them. and Ruto is one of them, kwa sababu Ruto does not believe in anything that will come to bring a change in our nation. He just thinks that he's the only person who knows what to be done. He's the only one who can command, who can say what should be done and be done. Angalia kama sahi, how on earth can somebody stand up and just say that we can kill this person and nothing will happen? We can kill, not this person, we can kill Raila and nothing happens. Kwa sababu anasema they can kill him and then people will just cry for 1 month, 2 months and then it's over. Without even thinking of repercussion after that, after doing that. Who on earth can say such thing? Na tumeona kina Cherargei wanatokezea kabisa, wanasema enda mshika huyo mtu. Kwanza anasema any person ambaye ataenda kushika Raila ako ready kupeana ng'ombe achinje, washerekee tu kwa sababu ameshika Raila. Who on earth can just speak such things? And this is the nation that we are in right now. Watu ambao kama sahi venye mmesema, you guys, you have said that we have won, and just look at the killings that are happening right now. Watu wanauliwa kila wakati with the live bullets, wanauliwa bila makosa, and yet this is an article that is in our constitution. We are allowed, it's not a crime. Tumepewa that mandate to protest, to picket, even for right of the press. These are things that are in the constitution. We are given by our constitution, but still somebody use live bullet to kill us. Now my question comes now for you guys. We can take 1 or 2 minutes. Alafu tuongee. How can we remove this person with these all killings? Tunajua tushamshinda with everything. He is incompetent, tumemshinda with everything, but now he's killing our guys. And this thing, I put it more to Phoenix because he's the one who brought this case. If Raila wants his seat, anaweza chukua within 2 months, or 1 month, or 2 weeks. Which other strategy can we use to remove this person? Because he's killing our guys every now and then.
Yeah, so now I'm very grateful that you've brought this up, because this is the crux of the matter. I don't know if it is crux or cracks. Pardon me. Mr. Nice, is it crux or cracks?
Probably would say cracks.
Cracks. Okay, good. Thank you. So this is the crux of the matter. As I said just now, what are we looking at? A desperate person, probably somebody who has some mental issues. The topmost that I have been able to identify in him is a narcissist. There is some narcissistic tendencies. Let me say, there are narcissistic tendencies. Yeah, I cannot, because I'm not a medical professional in any way, I cannot proclaim him to be a narcissist. That is a very extreme accusation. But he has those tendencies, they are there. So, desperate narcissistic tendencies. He knows he's lost. He's not stupid. William Ruto is not stupid, not by any measure. He's not stupid. He's very cunning and conniving. He has a significant portion of the police force. And by the way, let me absolve the Kenya Police Force, Kenya Police Service, from the killings that are happening. I have it on very reliable authority. We still have many people in government and they talk to us. Because I asked him, how can you use live bullets? He said, Bwaba, sio sisi. Iko watu wanatoka hatujui wapi. Na hata ile lugha wanaongea sisi hatujui. Ni watu wa kabila moja. Na hao ndio wanapiga watu risasi. So it is not the police service. I promise you, I cannot of course mention who this is, but I promise you I am not lying to you. So let us say he has a significant portion of the police service, a significant portion of probably maybe the military, but military not so much. I'm telling you the truth. Military is still Uhuru's. Okay? Military is still Uhuru's. William Ruto tried to lie to Kenyans. I had him lie to Kenyans on live TV. Oh, munajua mimi ndio nilichagua General Ogola akue mkubwa wa KKDF. No. Tonje rules. The head of the KDF will rotate. Air Force, Navy, Army, and like that. And it will be the senior most officer in rank in that unit who was the senior most person in the Air Force, which was supposed to take over? General Ogola, who promoted him right before he left. Uhuru Kenyatta appointed him to be the vice chief of the CDF. And we believe this was done in consultation with Raila, because he was known to be the incoming CDF after General Kibochi. Anyway, but I digress. So let us say maybe he has like 5% of the military. That is nothing. But with this police that he has, and the weapons that he has, and the money that William Ruto has, he can cause a lot of damage to this country. Okay? So the situation we are in, my brothers, blood will have to be shed. Okay? Blood will have to be shed. And I do not relish saying this or rejoice in saying this, because that blood could be mine, or even worse, the blood of somebody that I care about. Okay? Personally, I'm ready to die for Kenya. It is not a big deal. But what if the bullet gets my children? That will destroy me. Okay? Those people that will die or shed blood ni watoto wa Kenya. Kuna mtu atamulilia. But blood will be shed. Let me just leave it there. I don't know how much more time we have. I don't want to keep. But let me just, we can carry on in more detail later. Yeah.
I will play a video from Alex, and then I will vacate, and then I think Pogon atakuja kufunga show because I have like 10 minutes to go. I'm just downloading the video, but I think Alex could allude us to what he's waiting to be played.
Okay,
Just a 2-minute
before you share, just share the link. Kuna watu wanataka kuingia lakini bado hujashare link.
Nataka link.
Yeah, there's a guy ambaye anataka link, amengoja sana pale, anataka link.
I don't think it will be good to give the link because Nani Pogon just said his net is extremely weak. I don't know if Pogon is coming back. You're going for a meeting, I'm going to work. So unless they restart the show, let's just give our finishing remarks. Because Pogon has just confirmed that his net is weak.
Okay, finishing remarks, and then let me just play this video from Alex. Just give me a moment. I'm just getting it out here.
It's about Arama. You know what Arama was. You know, there's a time we wanted to get the guns from the hands of the members of parliament, and the members of parliament refused. And in that awake, then the police commissioner, the IG Kimaio, gave some weird statement that we all wondered if he really knew what he was saying. But if you look at what he was saying, it was true, though it is the accent that denied him the truth.
Okay, it's processing at the moment, and just give it a few seconds. I literally have 8 minutes, guys. So there we go.
Kumayu, when he speaks, everybody listens, but no one really gets what he's saying. You know, there's a very big difference between listening and understanding.
We are still starting the concept used by the Northern Ireland in its fight against fundamentalism, which states that it is better to the Kais with cans. And that's the quote. It is better for the Kais with the cans to be outnumbered by the good guys with the cans.
Chief, make I ask a question. How do we approach the insecurity in this country?
It is better for the Kais with the cans to be outnumbered by the good guys with the cans.
I'm not understanding you. You saying it's better for what?
To the Kais with cans.
Okay, please explain to me, what is this man saying? I'm not understanding anything. I'm listening, but I'm not understanding.
He might be saying many things. One of them is cans, you know, like a soda can, beer can, and all that.
Okay.
But I believe the IG is talking about cans. That is gun. So when he's saying it is better for the bad guys with cans, and asingomisa kuhusu bad guys with guns. So it is better for the bad guys with guns to be outnumbered by the good guys. That is good guys with guns. No, before Jaduong goes, Mr. Kimayo, what exactly happened at what exactly happened in Westland?
Westgate, Sieke.
What?
Sieke.
Sie what?
Sieke.
Angoa?
Sieke.
Hey! Hey! I give up. Poto. He's saying Westgate siege. Hey. Siege. What happened at Westgate?
Siege be the one that says Sieke.
Unakuanga na mchezo wewe.
And you can imagine the
But there is a point.
There is a point, but still, that is what I wanted to answer you. Part of it is that incompetence, is that weaponized degeneration? What is that? You see, in the end of the day, we suffer from, it's not intellectual malady. I mean, it's more than that. So if the person at the helm cannot explain for a child to understand, he ought not to be in that position. And that is why we have communication department. If you can't communicate and a child can understand, you have not communicated at all.
So guys, okay, I'm really sorry. Back in the Katano, thank you for the nice closer. Simba, I'm really sorry. I've seen you there. I will open the show very soon. When nikimaliza mkutano, I might even create a new show, guys. So thank you very much. Keep the fight on. And everybody in the comment section, asante sana. Asante sana. Simba, Nataya, I see you there. I apologize. I just have to head, and I'm the only one who can close the meeting and keep it running. Very good conversation. Asanteni sana. G,
just allow these guys. No, just encourage this guy to be on the show kila wakati. Just encourage them. Kila wakati wao wakija show.
What did you say?
Hiyo nilikuwa nasema tu. I'm saying encourage our guys, kina Not Nice, kina Phoenix, kina Alex, wao wanakuja kila wakati. Hata the show ambayo nenda kufungua sasa hii, if possible kama wanaweza join, itakuwa mzuri sana.
They have to come.
That's what I was trying to say. Just continue coming in because inatusaidia sana.
Thank you, Mr. G. Thank you, Mr. G. We'll be there, God willing.
I know Alex will be on his vehicle delivering some stuff. Natafanya, he knows what he's doing. So, see you guys. Thank you very much. Bye.